Good evening, happy Friday, hail, and welcome along to the latest edition of the Endless Celts Podcast. James must have a spot or something like that. He doesn't know what to show the night he's ready to sell off. But thank you for joining us this Friday night, spending your Friday night with us. We're going to talk all things Celtic as usual. Lots to get through, mostly transfer rumours, which is my worst subject. I hate it, but we're going to. That's the be all and end all at the moment. So we're going to touch on that. But how's your week been, Stephen? You looking forward to this weekend? Got much on?
I'm looking forward to the weekend. I've got my two kids who have managed to potentially put into bed. So if I have to drop off, it's to look after them and make sure they're okay. But apart from that, I've had a good week in work. I'm still getting settled in, obviously, but it's been good. Obviously, change of career. Looking forward to talking all things Celtic, and as you said, even the rumours are starting to drain me. But I'm sure we'll have a wee bit of to and fro, especially between
Absolutely.
me and you two dickheads tonight. So looking forward to it.
That's superb. And what about you, James? Good, aye, brilliant, perfect. Let's have a look at what we're going to be talking about tonight. Back in the room. We're back in the room. James is back. How are you, mate? How's your week been? Oh,
he's on mute. He's having an absolute shocker, isn't he?
Hello, testing. No, I thought I'd bet it there. When I come back and I seen the video and after what we just said, but obviously no. So I assumed there was slander thrown my way. But no, I'm alright, mate. I'm brand new. I'm all good. Looking forward to a wee long weekend. I'm off on Monday, so roll on the weekend.
Me too. You off Monday, Stephen?
No.
Just jump into the comments. Thanks for joining us. 420 somewhere. Good evening. Hail. Good evening, mate. Robert Davey. Jed's in. Evening, Jed. Balls to the walls. And we're going to go right into the transfer stuff. But James kind of sent us a link just before we came on. Put a bit of downer on everything, if I'm being honest with you. But everybody's in the comments saying the same thing. So Tony Daly's saying that the O'Reilly deal's done, 30 million including add-ons. Stephen Ray, evening. Thanks for joining us again. Offer Ritzio's just announced 25 million plus 5 agreed for O'Reilly to Brighton. So it's looking like he might be off. Joe Hamilton, evening, mate. How you doing? Thanks for joining us. We're going to go right into it. It looks like... Hold on a minute here. Hold on a minute to get rid of this. It looks like Matt O'Reilly might be on his way, and that's kind of the theme of this week. I think it was Tuesday where pretty much the whole squad was gone. I think there was rumours. I've actually written down the rumours that I've seen this week, and I everybody knows I hate rumours. I'm one guy that's like, I'm not believing a thing until they've got the scarf above their head and they're in the stadium and all the rest of it. But I'm just going to run through some of these names that I've seen just this week, right? On the way out, Matt O'Reilly, obviously. Kyogo, we'll touch on. CCV was rumoured to be... It was Turkish cause rumoured. Hatate. Mikey Johnson. Please, God. Please. Laga Bielka looks like he's on his way. Daniel Kelly's now gone. I think I seen a picture of him this afternoon. He's at Millwall now. And coming in, McGowan, Engels, Alvin, Sanchez, Mahamadou Diawara. Even Jota talks about coming back. Beck, as usual. Obviously the Matthias Bogusz. I'm sorry if I got that wrong, but it's the Polish I don't even know where he plays. Midfield, up front, everywhere it seems to be from LAFC. That's just a handful of names that I've picked out, and it seems like there's more and more. Stephen, how are you feeling? I was I was beside myself on, I don't know if it was Tuesday afternoon or Wednesday afternoon, when it seemed like every rumour was coming left, right, and centre, and we were like we're going to go on and talk about Brendan Rodgers' press conference later, but he thought he was going to have to field a five-a-side team this weekend because all the rumours were coming out. How are you feeling then? It's obviously it kind of ramped up then, and it's kind of quieting down a wee bit now. But what were you feeling that day when it was like? Because we were sitting here, I think it was last week, and we were discussing what we were looking to get in, and we kind of just talked about if we got a left centre half and a left back, we're fairly happy now. Whereas it came to Tuesday, and you were like, Jesus Christ, we need to sign 8 players now because they're all gone.
I mean, rumours excite myself and especially Franny in the podcast chat and group. But as I said to you off air, I am absolutely drained just at this precise moment. And like for me, that you all know, I love a good moan, I love a good whine and a good rant. And to be fair, I'll probably go on a few of them tonight because I am just in general frustrated and just drained from this absolute shambles of a window so far. I think the Matt O'Reilly deal, I think it's gathered pace, and even the last 30 minutes, by what I can see in the comments, the deal has been agreed. I think Jed put in there that Sky have announced that that's more or less done and it's signed and delivered. In regards to the in regards to the other rumours, I mean, Rio Watate, Cameron Carter-Vickers, and stuff like that. I thought it was quite funny when Rodgers said that this sort of stuff happens at the end of the window when their agents and their representatives are trying to drum up interest. The Kyogo one, the City, was extremely interesting. Fabrizio Romano tweeted that out. He never really misses. I know he talks crap when it comes to Celtic sometimes, but there's no smoke without fire. And I would say watch that one with good interest. It might drum up interest from other clubs and in certain leagues as well. Rio Watate, as I said before in the podcast, he's well, Grandad has put me off. He just goes, "You're awful dark." And it's delighting. I'm not in the professional studio, but yeah, Rio Tate's his feelings have been quite clear. Probably after a year since he's joined, that he wants to try a crack at the EPL. So I don't know, but we can't let all these players go. We need to have contingency plans. We need to have players who are on the cusp of at least being imminent arrivals, and it doesn't seem like that at the moment. But the incomings, I mean, Engels is someone who would greatly interest me. Obviously, they kind of replace the void that Matt O'Reilly will leave, a huge void in that centre midfield department, albeit Engels plays maybe a different role, and you could probably push Cal Mike up one to support Rio Watate in that case, so that's interesting. Alvin Sanchez plays in Switzerland, I believe. He's played near 100 games for his club at the moment, and he's only 21, 22, but at the same time, fucking Odin Thiago Home played over 100 games for Valerenga in the Norwegian League. He was meant to be the next big thing. Hasn't quite worked out that way, but hopefully it will. Darragh O'Shea is a name that never goes away, but I think Burnley won £15 million. And look, we'll come on to all these different rumours here, but I'm just drained, Willie, and I know we're going to have a few probably disagreements tonight, which I'm looking forward to between you and that little mess down below. So I'm quite looking forward to that. But yeah, I'm going to bounce off for 2 wee seconds here, but I'll be straight back. But just frustrated in general.
No worries, mate. That's Romano put up the old the picture of Matt O'Reilly in a superimposed Brighton shirt. It looks like it's a done deal now, James. You've been saying that it's going to happen. Are you surprised that it's Brighton if it's true that he's went through? And also, what sort of impact do you think that's going to make on us this season? And we're going to touch on this Champions League draw. I always thought he's going to be pivotal to us. So first of all, Brighton, and also, do we now need to go out and spend a decent amount and getting like an Engels or kind of these other guys that are rumoured to come in now?
I think we're going to have to. I mean, I've pretty much always been in the camp that Paulo Bernardo was brought in to be Matt O'Reilly's replacement. But obviously, judging by the links and the way the manager's speaking, he already wants one central midfielder, and if O'Reilly goes, he said he'd want another. So we should be looking at getting 2, but it just feels obviously as usual we've left it a wee bit late in the day, and it's a bit reactionary rather than being proactive. But in terms of him going to Brighton, like, you absolutely can't begrudge him it. I know when you think of Brighton, you probably think of Brighton like 10, 15 years ago, and like just an absolute nothing club. But obviously, you look at them now and develop players on, like they're basically like a kind of upgraded version of us in terms of the way they operate in their transfers, bringing players in the cheap and selling them on, your Caicedos of the world to Chelsea. So I think for him it's a good move. Obviously he'll want to play in the Premier League as well. Ticks that box. Will probably be challenging for some sort of European football again this year with the signings they've made. If their manager kind of hits the ground running, I know he's a bit of a young guy, but they looked the part against Everton last week. But nah, fair play to him. I hope he gets down there and he does all right, does well. But in terms of us, we need to be bringing in. Well, the manager's laid it out for us. We need to be bringing in 2. That's what he said. So, we've got a week left to do it. And I think I sat here last week and I said that I was feeling pretty optimistic, and that everything was feeling as if it was pulling in the right direction. And that was after me saying pretty much for the full summer that I wasn't expecting anything. And it just shows you how they always fucking get you, didn't they? they always pull you in. And then I sit here 7 days later, and do I think we're going to do what is required? Absolutely not. And then it's always the same. It always gets to this stage. In fact, I don't know if it was yourself, Willie, or that wee mess in the corner that said we're looking for you'd be happy with a left back and a left centre half. And as it stands just now, absolutely. But would I be happy? No, I wouldn't be, because that was the absolute bare minimum going into the window. And that's before you consider anybody leaving and tapping it as well. So they've pulled me in again, and then I'm sitting here this week and I'm my old grumpy, fucking pessimistic self. But fingers crossed, I'm sitting here next week and I'm proven wrong.
I was definitely of the fact that I was definitely thinking a left centre half and a left back was what I was looking for, but that was without any outgoings. We obviously definitely need to get in the market now and replace him, because he was player of the year last year. The way he started this season, he's you could argue he was a player of the year so far this year. There's kind of mixed comments in the likes of Tommy Twist 10. Evening, mate. Says hail lads, best of luck, Matt. There's a few saying best of luck, and then there's a few saying don't let the door hit you on the way out. Monty, evening, mate. Says 30 million for a 1.5 outlay. Bye, Matt, and good luck, lad. I bang on, massive profit, but the way the club is at the moment, we're looking for quality. We've got enough money in the bank, I would say. Stephen, it's just as you were aware, Romano's put the superimposed Brighton shirt on and said it's done. It's looking like it's a record fee. What's your initial feelings about it? You touched on the likes of Engels and all that there. Do we now need to go out and spend that money and get another centre midfielder of that like sort of arc, that sort of quality in?
Well, the now should have been at the start of the window, before the American trip, before the first game of the season. Like all these things that Rodgers give us signposts for, that's never actually happened or came to fruition. So now it's imperative, it's vital. My buzzword that little James always pulls me up all night, but yeah, it is vital that we have to do something in this market, and we need to. I mean, was it Rodgers said last week, even with O'Reilly in the building, he still wanted one extra midfielder. So effectively now he's saying he wants 2. And we have 7 days left in the window, and that is going to be a tough ask. And you take out positions like left back, centre back, do you know what I mean? And you need 4 or 5 players. My initial feelings, look, I kind of came to the thought process and thinking that he was going to leave very early on in the window. I've kind of resigned myself to that, and I've been dealing with life without him, so to speak. You know, you get yourself in that mindset where you can cope with it. It was always going to happen. He was. His last season, 39 goal contributions. I think it was like 19 goals, and the amount of assists he got as well was absolutely incredible. He took his game to the next level under Rodgers, and I think he really responded to his type of coaching. And what James said about the new Brighton manager, he's very forward thinking. He's 31 years old, one of them kind of counter press managers who likes to get on the ball, control the possession, much like Celtic do at the moment. I think that style of play will suit Matt O'Reilly. And look, he's probably looking at this as well and saying to himself, if I can perform well there for a year or two, I can get a move like Casado did, or multiple other players that have left Brighton to go to bigger clubs. So there's avenues for him to go down there, and things he can look to, and maybe move on to a bigger league or a bigger club in that league in the future. So yeah, best of luck to him. I mean, I can't wish him anything other than that, because I think he's been fantastic for us. And what Monty said there about the 1.5 million outlay, I do agree. But then Rodgers said what we've all been fucking saying for ages today, that more or less 1.5 million or 2 million fees, you're going to have more hits, more misses than hits.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? Matt O'Reilly's the rule to that exception, and he's been absolutely fantastic. But we cannot, I'm going to stress this so much, we cannot go Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday and pluck a wee guy that, like their man Dawara, who has had 12 first-team appearances for Leon, and get him on loan to say that's a replacement for O'Reilly. Look, no disrespect to Dawara, but he might be a good prospect, but that's not what we need right now. We're not going to get the same quality, by the way. I do understand this, and I'm fully on board with that. We're not going to be able to pluck a player who's just like Matt O'Reilly. Matt O'Reilly had 2.5 years of pure development at Celtic, but we need someone who's halfway in that journey to come in and be in that midfield. And whether it's an Engels, whether it's Alvin Sanchez, who knows? But Jesus Christ, I feel like we sit every week and say, I mean, Willie, you said it this morning, and I agreed with you. We are talking about the same issues, but it's the only issues we can speak about. It's the only issues on every Celtic fan's mind at the moment. And even Rodgers alluded to the fact that he understands the support's frustration. And I just don't get it. I don't get why we're sitting here 7 days to go, and effectively the only new player we've signed is Kasper Schmeichel. I think that's an absolute disgrace. And look, Bernardo and Ida back is fantastic. Unbelievable bits of businesses by the club to get them two back on a permanent basis. But we've so much work to do, Willie, in 7 days.
I know, mate. I know. Agreed. And the manager was saying, we'll go into his press conference. In fact, I'll just leave that because I'm going to speak about that later on. But see, with the whole Matt O'Reilly thing and bringing somebody in, now I've spoke about it quite a lot, about how that midfield three is like, it's really hard to dislodge people there. And I'm not making excuses because it's not right. We should have more players through the door. I'm just trying to figure out, what do you think that the likes of these players that are being rumoured, Engels and all these other players, that is it a matter of Celtic have target? I'm just going to come straight back to you, Stephen, and then I want to ask James the same thing. But is it a matter of at that moment in time, because we don't know what's going on with Matt O'Reilly, he can't guarantee whatever, but just let's say it's Engels, right? Just for argument's sake, he's going to bring him into the club, and he's going to do his, like, as a manager, bringing him in, and he talks about how he wants to use him and all the rest of it. If Matt O'Reilly's at the club, he can't make certain guarantees because he's obviously our best player at the club and he's going to play. Is it a matter of he spotted these players, and now I'm not saying he should be in the door if he's good enough and we want him, get him in the door. Tell him you're going to give him game time, and because there is going to be rotation. The manager keeps saying that come post September, it's like the games are nuts and we need rotation, so get them in. But is it easier now for him to get somebody like that in to say, look, there's a void here, you're going to be my main man in midfield? Is that something that they're looking at? They're picking out certain players and saying, look, we want him, but if Matt stays, then it's going to be tough to get him in the side. You understand what I'm trying to get at?
Yeah, I mean, if you're mid the top player, you might not want to come in and you face uncertainties about game time and things like that. But Rodgers has been on record saying that it isn't an issue whether to keep Matt or not to sign players, or let players go to bring players in. So you can counter that by saying that. Rodgers has said that, to be fair. But I do get it. Like, if you're Engels and you've played best part of 50 games in the top German league and you're going to come to Celtic and Matt O'Reilly's still around, you're not a guaranteed starter. But I think what Roger said, that, again, I'll leave that because we're going to come on to the press conference, but what he was kind of leaning towards was that if our ambition is to improve, we can't stand still, and we need to put steps in place to move forward as a team, whether O'Reilly or Rio, whether or not. So, you have to bring players in. If you want a competitive squad, a top quality squad, you're going to have players fighting out with a jersey. I think competition breeds success, and if you have competition all over the places for each individual shirt, like left back, right back, centre mid, then they're going to push each other to new levels, and I think that's only a good thing for the team. So I do get your point, but I don't think that's fully it. Maybe from a player's point of view, they're sitting going, if I go there and it's still that same kind of trio midfield, I'm going to drop from 50 games to maybe 25, coming off the bench and only starting a select few. So there could be choices to make in that regard. But yeah, I get it, but it doesn't stick with me. I think if a player was ambitious enough, he'd want to challenge himself against the likes of an O'Reilly and a Tate to see if he can make the first team.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just going to run through some of the comments here. Tony Daly says, not to be controversial, but to get 30 for a guy that costs us 1.5 is excellent. To say that we can't replace Matt O'Reilly is ridiculous. With enough ambition, they can bring in quality. All the best to the lad. Yeah, I totally agree with that. Your ma, evening, mate. Says, literally, the expectations have been hacked away at the fans that are like, oh, we might get 3 in. McGowan is a shout. Our fan base is now at the point because nothing has happened. They'll accept anything. Phil McGinley, how we doing, mate? All the best, Matt. We move on. Nature of the beast these days. Balls to the walls, 87. Time for new superstars. Best of luck, Matty boy. I think everybody, James, was pretty much seen this was going to be coming, and everybody's sort of accepted it before. He's been away. Same sort of question. Do you think that we've got targets in mind, but it's more difficult because you can't guarantee, certain game time when you've got a player like Matt O'Reilly in the squad, or is it just?
I don't think so. I think any player worth their salt. I mean, like your man Engels that you're talking about, he's playing in the Bundesliga week in, week out. Obviously highly rated. You'd have to imagine he'll back himself to get a game. That's got to be the mindset you would imagine. And even at that, if we were keeping O'Reilly and it was O'Reilly, Hatate and McGregor, you've still got to be looking to bring in quality. Like the guy McCowan for Dundee, it just doesn't do it for me because all that means to me is like your Odin Holmes, basically the B team. It's just putting another roadblock in their way. And if Luke McCowan was 20, 21 and he was coming in, then fair enough, I can understand it. Similar to if we signed Lennon Miller in this one day, it's a bit more understandable signing a prospect. But I think the boy McCowan is 27 this year, and he's essentially just coming off the back of his breakout season. So I think he probably will be one of the ones that we sign, to be honest, because again, it's a kind of tap-in signing, similar to what I've said with Owen Beck. But I think we need to be looking for quality because we had O'Reilly, Hatate and McGregor, but the drop-off to literally anybody else in the squad, your Holmes, Awatas and the rest of them, it is far, far too big a gulf. So you need to be bringing in quality. If you're playing with 3, you can't only have 3 of kind of adequate quality because obviously one injury and then you're kind of snookered. And to be honest, obviously central midfield isn't the only position that we're like that when you think left back, right back, centre half. I mean, this with Stephen, there's a lot of work left today. With a week left to do it, and I just think it should and could have been so different. With just a wee bit of ambition, and I know we're going to talk about Rodgers' press conference, but you could see it. I know he said that he doesn't send out messages, he's got a good relationship, he's no sending out hints and all that, but I mean, I think a blind man could see that he's frustrated with the way it's gone, the way he was talking. So when the manager's getting like that with a week left, and as I said in the group chat earlier, kind of getting off on a tangent here, but when he was asked about a third choice striker, he basically kind of disregarded it and just said Maida can fill in there as your third choice striker if need be. We've got more pressing issues in the squad. And see when your manager is coming out at the end of a transfer window where there is clear frustrations in the support and the manager, when even the manager is willing to make kind of sacrifices and with his transfers. We went into this window cash rich. The whole thing that we've heard all through the window was we don't need to sell. Now, again, we've all sat on here, and as much as we've said, maybe know yourself, Willie, we had a wee wager on it, but all through the window, they've said we don't need to sell, and you're like, but we will sell. We don't need to sell, but if every player has got their price, if somebody meets their price, and I think we've all said on here as well, £25, as soon as that £25 million bid comes in, if it's got add-ons or whatever, but as soon as the 25 million is hit, he'll be out the door. And it was so obvious for about 3 weeks ago when the rumours started that it was going to happen. And to this point, we have done absolutely nothing to address it, to get in front of it. There's been sound bites that we don't need to sell. We've knocked back 75 bids for Atlanta. We didn't need to sell to them because they hit the magic 25 million mark. Brighton's come in, 25 million, and it's done within, 48 hours or something. So we've obviously known about it for a long time. And all I've read is that we're monitoring. We must be world class at monitoring players, the amount that we're monitoring. And your man that you were talking about there, Diawara for Leon, the other guy that I actually thought looked quite good, the guy for Venezia. I keep got to call him Taylor Twellman, but that's not his name. That was the old American guy. It was
Tasman or something.
Aye. Well, he's just signed for Leon, so we've obviously monitored him, and then we'll be Sydney Van Hooydonk Cadamida stuff out again. But nah, just frustrated, and it's not even. Normally I'd sit and I'd moan. I've clearly just moaned for about 10 minutes, but there's normally some anger. Do you know what I mean? There's normally a bit of fight, and it's just, as I say, I think it was me and yourself, Stephen, and Ross that done the end of season review last year, and I think me and yourself, even Ross as well to an extent, we sat and we're like, we're not going to do it. We're only going to do what's required. We knew what was required then, and we knew we were only going to do it. And we're now getting into it with a week left. And I would bet that we're sitting here in a week's time. And as I said, the full transfer window, we've got Owen Beck coming in at left back, and we'll be sitting there with the third polish, and we'll be trying to glisten that up to say that he's better than Greg Taylor, and it's great for getting into the Champions League. And Luke McCowan's coming off the back of a fantastic season with Dundee, and maybe we will get somebody else of quality in, but we're going to be sitting here, I fear, next week talking up Owen Beck and how good he was at 6 months at Dundee, but then in the next breath we'll say we don't think he's better than Greg Taylor. And I just feel as if it's been fairly apparent pretty early on in the window. Obviously with the Adamida saga, which went on for about 6 months, it was hard to sign players during the Euros. Then the Olympics kicked off. I think we're getting into the Paralympics now, so I don't know if that snookers is again, but there's always been an excuse, and we're now at the stage where there isn't any excuses left. We'll stand here with a week left of the transfer window, just as good as we were when last season finished. And for the manager that spoke about quality, improving in Europe, you can't sit here and tell me that he isn't as frustrated as the rest is.
Yeah, well, we'll get on to that. I feel your frustration, brother. I really do. And most people in the comments do. Also, Peach Prime evening says, well, the manager has said he wants one now, regardless of Matt. It's two if he leaves. Engels, for talking sake, should be a now. That becomes your replacement ahead of it. Another backup if he leaves. Monty has said we should now sign Engels and Bogusz, a left back and central defender. Your Mosin again was saying, Stephen, he said for over a year, and an elite manager would make things happen. If he can't get players in to improve this starting 11 with their budget, Brendan Rodgers and the board are to blame. So there's a lot of frustration in the comments. What have you got to say, Stephen, mate?
I think James said something, and it kind of registered me. Like, usually there's a bit of anger, and I don't know if he meant from the club side, but from my own personal kind of point of view, this is why us three are just a wee bit like, just a wee bit, I don't know, down in terms of what's actually going on at the moment. It's actually past anger for me. It's just pure disappointment. It's just what I expected in bucket loads and spade loads, and the fact that, and I'll always go back to it, and look, we've all had our wee ding dongs in the group chat, and people get, I mean, we bit into it more than others. Me myself personally, am very involved in that. But I just think, and as James rightly said, like, I don't know how you can trust, and we said this even 2 weeks ago, how you can trust us to get 5 or 6 players in that we desperately need, by the way, for improvement, not even to stand still, that we need for improvement in 7 days. I just don't get it. And I thought what James said was a brilliant point as well. When you 3 to 4 weeks ago that Atalanta were after O'Reilly and other clubs were circling to see what would happen with that deal, that fell through, and Brighton have took the opportunity. See, even if the recruitment team didn't give a fuck for the last 12 months that he might leave, see, within that 3 week period, could you not have been a bit proactive and a bit more reactive and went out and looked for someone in the market to bring in? Like, it's when you break it down, look, it's not simple to conclude deals. It's not obviously not simple to thrash out millions of pounds and everything's a risk. And I get it. I get all that and to an extent, but fuck me. Are you telling me you can't sit down and talk to someone and be like, here, would you fancy it? We've got the money to bring you in. Do you want to come in? It took us 9 years to get Ida over the line, and that was a nailed-on signing. Do you know, it just feels like Chris Mackay and Michael Nicholson are travelling around in a wee black taxi and they're getting dropped off at each destination one at a time to deal with one player at a time, when it shouldn't be like that. But I'm just, it's like expectation, isn't it? We always get ourselves built up for these windows and thinking about who we could bring in and who could improve the squad, and we're talking about names and rumours, we're getting excited, but seeing your dished up list shit on a constant basis, it just gets beyond the point. And I know Willie's laughing, and I like that. It makes me laugh. But and look, I was watching the Thursday night forum with the Boise bus last night. Him and Mark Kearney were talking about Russell and Mark Kearney were talking about the time we had James P on and things of that nature in the round what happened then. But Mark Kearney actually brought up a good point. Celtic have released over 70 items of clothing range and things to buy and stuff like this over the summer. We'll take your money, but see, if you want us to spend it, you can fuck off. That's what it's like. Do you know, we want to sit in this nice pile of cash and do absolutely nothing with it. And the most mad thing is Lawwell apologised for the January window and lack of movement. And he even said it wasn't healthy for a club to sit in that big of a stockpile of cash. Fast forward to the summer. What have we done? Yeah, Monty, 100%. What have we done? Kasper Schmeichel, brilliant signing. Sinisalo, forward thinking. I'm all for it. But taking 9 years to get Ida over the line, 9 years to get Bernardo over the line, madness. I'm happy they're in, yes. But you have to tell me, and you have to tell me now, is there more than 2 people working on deals? Is there more than 2 people doing negotiations? Because at this precise moment, it doesn't feel like that. It feels like it's them 2 absolute dickheads taking years and years and years to conclude one deal. Never mind 7. Madness. There you go. I'm angry now. I'm fucking angry now.
see, even what you're saying with the Adamida deal, legit did take weeks and weeks to get over the line, and when it went over the line, a lot of people were like, well, we've overpaid for him. And I think at the time initially was the rumoured fee around about the kind of 6-7 mark, and then it shot away up to 11, and then we brought it back down to 9.5. And you're like, did it really take us that long to go for like there away up and then bring it down to a middle ground? Like, surely these deals can be done a lot quicker. And I think you've nailed it there. That's exactly where I come at it for. Like, Schmeichel was obviously known to Rodgers, so you'd imagine that's obviously the kind of direct contact there that's brought him in. And Ida and Bernardo were here last year, and it still took us weeks upon weeks to get them over the line. So if we're getting into the last week of the window, and I know we're going to come on to talk about Rodgers' press conference, but there was something quite interesting that somebody asked him, and I think it's the first time that he's actually been asked about it. and it's something that I think we've all mentioned on here at some point or another. Obviously, Mark Gobble left the building along with Joe Dudgeon, and eventually somebody for the media asked him, who are the scouts reporting to? But who is your chief scout, your head of recruitment, whatever you want to call it? And he couldn't answer it. It was like a kind of politician's answer he gave, and then he just
It
concluded.
took him by surprise. It took him by surprise.
He just concluded it was saying, well, anybody that comes into the club, regardless, I'll have the final say on. And that's all well and good. That's how about 99% of clubs work. But like, you should be able to tell us a name there. Do you know what I mean? It shouldn't be. I mean, we're waiting in the Champions League draw. We're a Champions League club. We've got all this money in the bank, but we can't give a simple name to a question. We need to fucking start talking like a politician. So, I'm just moaning for the sake of moaning now. I think we started talking about Matt O'Reilly.
Well, you see you. Well, you see, I'm fucking fuming.
San Fran is in saying he thinks we'll sign 2 or 3 this week. I hope to God we do. I think we need to. Jamie Brown, evening. Thanks for joining us tonight. You can have all the money in the world, but if there's no gold, you can't buy it. So lots of mixed reviews. Granda's in saying, what about McCarthy? Listen, Stephen's already been sent off, Granda. Didn't he send him off anymore? He's off. Going off his banger. Let's leave Matt O'Reilly at the moment. I'm just really sad that we're never going to see when we release.
Actually, how do you feel about it, Willie? You asked us. How do you feel about it?
Just proper deflated, being honest with you, mate. Absolutely deflated. We're going to go on, especially because it's been announced right before we're talking about a segment about the Champions League, and I've been talking for weeks about how I feel like he's the difference between us doing something in the Champions League and doing absolutely nothing. So I think it's, and we're going to go on to talk about Brendan Rodgers' press conference, but I came away for that, watching that press conference, and maybe it's because I'm a bit more positive about things, but I came away for that when he was like, look, there's nothing more happening. And even when Romano put it, I was like, it can't be a matter of hours after his press conference saying that there's nothing more, nothing's gone out, nothing's coming in, that we're going to announce this selling him a matter of hours later. I just thought that's a bit, and now I just feel proper deflated about the whole thing, because he has been for a long time. He's been our best player. Even this season, we talk about the really, really good football we've been playing. These sort of, when he takes it on the inside left and plays that kind of ball through and between the full back and the centre half, he's done it all pre-season. He's done it since we started. That's been like leading up. We always talk about that, the pass before the assist. He's been playing that pass for about at least 50% of our goals that we've scored in pre-season and in this season. It's going to be a massive, massive, massive loss for us. I think because we have been playing some decent football, it's kind of glossed over the fact that this transfer window has been a bit of a disaster so far. I think if we were playing the sort of football we were playing at the start of last season, I think the Harris fencing might be getting thrown about. But I think because we have been playing football, different brand of football, and the manager keeps saying it, like the group are improving and they've been far better and all the rest of it, and you can see that. But you can see his frustrations as well. We need to get more players in. But I'm not, you know me, Stephen, I'm not one to. You were all going after your nut on Tuesday, and I was like, look, I'll see if it comes to it and it's the end of the window and we're in this situation. I will be the first one to jump on here and go after my nut. But I don't want to waste energy until I see what happens. And you know me, I've got a lot of faith, but I don't have a lot of faith in the next week about what we're going to do in this window, and it scares me that because we've hit the ground running, we think we can do all right domestically, that we're not going to do more in the window, and more than like Matt O'Reilly leaving, it terrifies the life out of me that we're going into another season into the Champions League. As much as he's been brilliant as William Scales is like a first choice centre half, I just think it's nuts that he's that we've not strengthened. Well, but we'll see. We've got a week to go. Hopefully, we see some. It seems like in the last 3 or 4 days, the whole transfer windows went a bit nuts and everything started going through. It's been quiet, like James has said, for the Euros and Olympics and all the rest of it. It seems like this last 3 or 4 days even It's kind of just went from 0 to 100. So I reckon in the next week we're going to see lots of rumours and hopefully some players through the door. But I'm actually really deflated and gutted at that news tonight. Even though in the back of my mind I knew he was going to go at some point. Until it happens, it's a bit, just gutted. I just think that we could have done something in this Champions League this year. And right now, with this team of players that we've got, with Matt O'Reilly leaving, I don't think we're going to do much, which will be interesting because we're going to talk about that later on. But we'll leave Matt O'Reilly just for a wee bit now. And I know the guys kind of touched on it Wednesday, but James, what was your first thoughts on the Kyogo rumour, and especially the team that was rumoured to be taking him?
Aye, that was a bit fucking out of the blue, wasn't it? I wouldn't be surprised if another one did go. I wouldn't be surprised if it was Kyogo, Hatate, Carter Vickers. I'm no surprised that teams are sniffing about them, but I was surprised that it was Man City that was sniffing about him. But he's another one. I know Guardiola made his comments today, and when I read it on Twitter, when I seen it wrote down, I'm like, right, that sounds good. But when you actually see the interview that he said the quote in, where he said they didn't think there'd be any more incomings, that's nobody left it. He did say potentially it would depend on like their squad injuries and if the deal was available for the right price. So I don't think we're out the woods with Kyogo quite yet. But if Kyogo goes, then we really are up shit creek without a paddle. And I was going to try my best to go a week without mentioning his name. But if Kyogo does go, then the fucking Macedonian prince that's went to Girona, it then looks even worse to let him go for the sake of, I think it was 4 million up front or 4.2 or something up front.
Macedonian prince.
So, aye. So hopefully there's nothing in it and they don't come in for him. But as I say, haven't actually watched that interview with Guardiola where he said the kind of quote that made its way onto Twitter. I'm not convinced that we're out the woods with that one yet, but I was surprised that it was him. And look, don't get me wrong, as much as I'm saying I'm surprised it was Man City that was in for him, if Kyogo went into that Man City team, I know he's going on obviously as a squad player, but if Kyogo played up front for Man City, I think he would score a few goals. His movement is genuinely world class. His finishing might not be there quite yet, but I think his movement is genuinely world class, and you see it watching us on the telly, watching us in the stadium. He makes a lot of runs that we don't pick up on, and if he's in a Man City team and you've got De Bruyne and Foden picking out these passes, then I think he'd do well for them. But hopefully he doesn't. Hopefully there's nothing in it.
Stephen, what about you, mate? It was a bit of a shock to the system for most. How did you feel when the news came through?
I actually thought it was a joke at first. I thought someone done that kind of screenshot Romano stuff. But
see when you do that fucking in that fucking group chat and you send it and it's like Dave the plumber for fucking Paisley said he's and it's like, oh well, it must be gospel truth. But see when Sky Sports News are reporting it and that's the first thing that comes through, I'm like, oh shit. That's when I start to get.
So what you're saying is you'll Dave the plumber an apology then?
I think I do agree with James. I don't think that it's done yet. I don't think we are clear of Kyogo leaving. What potentially could happen here is we know we changed the agent to one of the best agencies in the world. Postecoglou, I think, is represented by that agency as well. What this could potentially do is drum up interest from other clubs within leagues and stuff. Obviously, seeing that Pep and Man City could be interested in him. But I do agree that I think he would fit in to a City system. I actually seen something quite funny the other day about this. It made me chuckle. Some Sevco fan put up a tweet saying, "Oh, why Man City interested in Kyogo, who was outscored by serial dessers," and it's just a basic understanding of football tactics and knowledge that would tell you why a City would be interested in the likes of Kyogo Furuhashi. Is quite simply his yes, 100%, JP. It's quite simply how he moves, how he plays, systems he's used to. And I think Rodgers plays similar to a Guardiola system. So just we basic understanding of football knowledge or would have done that person a world of good. But look, I don't think it'll happen. I think he might leave, which would be just another horrendous moment in his transfer window. I'm open to anything at the moment, any possibilities and any outcomes that may come our way, and that includes our current players. But it's one that to kind of watch with interest, I would say. And I think James was right to point out that Pep didn't say there wouldn't be no activity. It was down to squads, injuries, depth in squads as well. So he hasn't entirely ruled out a move. And I was listening to the overlap, the fans forum today in work, and one of the Sky Sports Ornstein, I think he's called, has a good reputation. Did in fact talk about Man City's interest in Kyogo. So there's definitely something. Whether it's City, whether it's another club, who knows? But I don't think. Yeah, and Stephen Ray there, 100%. I mean, there's another option. Spurs could be in for him. So I think it'll be interesting, and I think it'll be interesting to see when something like this may or not be concluded. I hope he stays. I love Kyogo, but there's no smoke without fire. We know this by now.
Yeah, it's a scary thought. The others, I'm not going to go through it with you guys. CCV and Hatate seems to have went quite quiet. Mikey Johnson, James?
I'd keep him, mate. I'd keep him. If I say that, he'll go, because I've said that for about the last fucking 25 years, it feels like, and can't slap a boomerang, man.
Alaga Bielka looks like he's away as well. Matthias Bogusz, really hope I've got that right. If I've not offended anybody, I really apologise. This seems to be the one that's at the forefront that's not going away. I think the latest was we've offered 8 million, but they're wanting more. Stephen, what do you make of that? I've tried to look at, and I know, like, YouTube made fucking Tilio look world class, and that didn't work out. And I've looked at some of his stuff, and I have no idea where he fucking plays. I've seen him playing up front. I've seen him playing in the wings. I've seen him playing in the number 10, coming from midfield. This seems to be like it's one that possibly could get over the line. What's your thoughts on him?
I think you said Bogusz, the player with no football position. He just plays seemingly everywhere. I think the goal he scored, was it last night or night before for LAFC, cut in off the left-hand side, I believe, and he finished it. So he looks like he has Rodgers loves variation of play. I think Bogusz definitely has that. He can play centre-forward position, off the wings, or even on occasion at centre midfield. Fuck off, Monty. Honestly. Jesus Christ. But yeah, look, it's interesting. And he looks a good player. He had a couple of loan spells with Ibiza in Spain and different clubs like that. Didn't quite work out. It seems like he's found his feet. And I was listening to one of the American kind of journalists saying that he started off at LAFC not really getting a place in the team. Took him a while, and this manager's kind of bedded him in, and now he's like a mainstay of their football club, which is decent. I think his returns like 18 goals and however many assists he has. So is he off the Matarelli mode? I don't know. Is he off the Kyogo mode? I don't know. He just seems to be a guy who can play multiple positions. But what I would say is that, now bear in mind, look, again, I know we got Alistair Johnson from the MLS, but the MLS has made the likes of Bradley Wright Phillips look like a world beater. Lewis Morgan, Brian Gold for Vancouver Whitecaps. He turned it up. So the attacking players of the MLS do look good in the majority of teams they play in. I don't know if it's the standard of defending they're up against, but counter that, we did get AJ, and he's been fantastic for us ever since. But it doesn't excite me. I don't know why. I don't understand why it doesn't, because it's everything that has been kind of.
Sorry, mate. What if we end up buying him for 10, 11 million? Would that excite you then?
No. I think at that point we're held to ransom, because that club knows we have money to spend and we're desperate for players. Like it's it started off saying it's close, and then today I read that we're haggling again over valuation, which doesn't surprise me in any way, shape, or form at this precise moment. But Bogusz, fucking yeah, I'll watch it with interest, but it doesn't grip me. And look, I'm not going to say anything, but and again, this isn't a dig to James here, but I had the same feeling about
Yeah,
Louis Palma. I had the same feeling about Louis Palma. I had the same feeling about a couple of other players that come in the summer transfer window, and this doesn't grip me. And I don't know why. I don't want to be disrespectful of the level of league he's coming from, because we shouldn't be that, by the way. We play in Scotland, but I don't know, £8 to £10 million. Nah, not for me. But that's just my problem, isn't it?
Tony Daly's in again. He says he plays up front, wing, centre mid, left centre back, left back, covers all our needs, and we only need to buy one player. Big Pete rubbing his hands together again. James, what have you seen about this guy? What do you think about it? What do you think about Stephen's comments and like sort of coming for the MLS?
In terms of what have I seen him, I've seen the goal that he scored the other night, and that's it. There isn't enough fools in the day to watch videos of players that we're linked to currently.
Oh,
so I've seen that. I read a wee bit about him, to be fair, on Twitter. And somebody said he was kind of similar to Tom Rogic, but then in the next breath said that he can play on either wing. I'm like, doesn't quite match up then. I don't fancy playing Tom Rogic on the wing.
He's Tom Rogic when he plays 10, but he's Pelé when he plays in the wing, and he looks a bit like
but I don't know, man. As I say, I don't know anything about the guy. Obviously, we need numbers in, or wingers can't be like Lewis Palma and score in the Champions League. So we're going to need bodies in there to help us improve, and obviously just in general to hopefully kick on in Europe. So I wouldn't be against that. I wouldn't look down our nose at the league either. Obviously, that's what happens to us, and we get frustrated by it and all the rest of it. So, as I say, I can't really say a lot because I don't know enough about the player. But his goal the other night was really tidy, to be fair.
Big Reds in the comments. Evening. Thanks for joining us. I think this comment sums up pretty much everybody's feelings tonight. The only people that are irreplaceable are your mother, daddy, and your siblings. The rest can fuck off. Buying a third strip for my boy on Monday like a dick. Give me something decent, Celtic. Let's move on to the transfer talk for a bit. And it's funny.
I love Willie doing this. Let's move on.
Let's for the next 4 sentences.
I fucking hate it. Well, we're still going to touch on the transfer stuff, but it's funny because I texted you guys this morning to I was coming up with topics to talk about tonight, and I said in the comments that Brendan Rodgers will be doing his usual Friday presser. It'll probably be a tasty one because all the rumours that have came about, and we'll touch on that there. And Gizo, when I watched it back, I was like, yes, it was a tasty one. There's been lots to cover. So just before we go into the specifics of the sort of press conference, James, how did you feel Brendan Rodgers' demeanour was? Did you feel his frustration? Do you think he was fairly relaxed? How did you feel about his sort of whole demeanour?
It was like a professional version of us, to be honest. I thought. I think he's done the whole trying to sugarcoat it the last few weeks. And look, I hold my hands up. I've said 100 times, I don't think you can believe a word that comes out his mouth. When it comes to obviously transfers as well, the O'Reilly thing goes to kind of support that as well. But he cannot be he can't not be as frustrated as the rest is. I mean, it's him that is essentially getting hung out to dry. Just not even in terms of just the signings, just the whole setup at the club the way it is now. As we mentioned, with Mark Lawwell being out the door, and then nobody's coming in to replace him, so your short bodies there. So he's working off a handicap to start with before the window's even opened, with him not being replaced, and then obviously it looks as if we're relying on agent contacts and obviously personal contacts within the club, which, to be fair, it isn't really anything new for us, but you just could sense his frustration the day when, and it was genuinely refreshing to hear somebody say what we've all said before. It doesn't matter how good, bad, or indifferent the quality of opposition is in Scotland. We need to be the best that we can be for Europe. And the fact that he's openly saying we really wanted to have a go in the Champions League this year with the new format and try and get into I think the playoff round is essentially the last 16, but try and get into that playoff round through the league phase.
Yeah.
And he's laying it all out there. He's like, if you give me these tools, I think I can achieve this. But you need to give me the tools. And to this point in the window, basically you haven't given them. And then he goes on to saying that's the one thing that I didn't like. And it's obviously we touched on it earlier when he was asked about a third striker. And his own record is saying that he wants 3 strikers. And that was when Rocco Vata was still in the building. But we all knew he was going to be off anyway because he hadn't agreed a new deal, and obviously he hadn't get a look in the kind of second half of last season either. So I don't even think you can say about Rocco Vata we left us in this window. We knew for months that Rocco Vata was away, so we've known for months that we were going to need a third striker. So the fact that Maida is obviously filled in there at the weekend, scored 2 goals and looked obviously really good up front, albeit against a pretty average Hibs side. It's then he'll do there, and no, he won't do there, because if we're ever in Europe and we're in the situation where we need him to play at striker, we're then losing our best winger, and nobody mentions that. So if you play Maida up front, you're obviously losing what he brings to you playing out wide. And look, I 100% agree, signing a third striker isn't our top priority, but where we stand in the window now, it's a shambles how it's been dealt with up to this point. So the fact that we're now just willing to write off signing a third striker, and I'm not saying go out and spend 5-10 million on a striker, and also the way he was speaking as well, I don't even know who plays up front for the B team, but it sounds pretty damning for whoever it is. When he's saying he'd rather it was somebody in the academy, and you're like, well, you've got a B team playing in the Lowland League that's been scoring a few goals, so it doesn't say great things for them. But nah, it's the compromise. I don't like the idea of the compromise. I need them to come out and say, nah, I want 3 strikers. If I don't get 3 strikers, we'll be disappointed. And when he said as well, I don't want to put a number on it, because then you'll come out next week and say, well, I didn't get that number. Well, obviously. And look, things can happen, players can leave, maybe add on to it or whatever. I get that. But he must have a number, and he said he'll know what he wants. And we've all seen it before, so I don't get why. I know he can't hang the board out to dry, of course he can, but at the same time, he doesn't need to kind of be the human shield. Do you know what I mean? Like,
it's funny with that. See with that number thing, James, because there has been times where he has said, "I need 2 more midfielders. I need a." Mm-hmm. He has actually put a number on it.
Exactly, but that's what I mean. That's why, like, the O'Reilly thing. He said the other week, we need another midfielder. If O'Reilly goes, we'll need 2. And then he was asked about it today, and he kind of didn't want to really comment on it. And you're like, well, no, give a number, because then you're the one that's been sold short if you don't get that number. And then we'll no blame you, because if as long as you're going to defend them, you're going to cop some flack, rightly or wrongly. So give the number. They've done it to you before. We've all seen this film before and how it ended. And he kind of referenced it himself today. I can't remember exactly the word in the question that was asked, but he said, I've been here before.
Yeah,
he's like, I'm a bit older and wiser. I've been here before.
About that.
Yeah. So you can kind of obviously draw the kind of join the dots in between that. But he started the kind of at the start of the window, the usual chat about quality and blah 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 blah. And then as the windies went on, we kind of got to the tipping point of, no, I've got a great relationship with the board. I don't need to send out signals, yada yada yada. And then we got to that today. Where he's
signals.
Pretty much, I wouldn't even see sending out signals. I think he's just pretty much laying it out there that we haven't been good enough to this point. It needs to be better. We've still got time to fix it, so let's fix it.
Hi, Plunge McNuggets in. Evening, mate. He says, O'Reilly deal done, boys. He's obviously joined us late because we're an hour in and that's all we've talked about tonight. But James, just coming back, see what you said there about sort of, what was it, about, your opinion on Rodgers. Your opinion is, like, you can't believe a word that comes out of his mouth. He said today, obviously there's nothing new. He literally been questioned by name on Kyogo. He's actually, what about Matt O'Reilly? And he's literally came out and said, no, nothing new, nothing not coming on there. They're obviously close in negotiations if he's gone matter of hours after that press conference. Do you think Brendan Rodgers knows that going into that press conference?
Aye, 1,000,000%. He has to. He can't. Aye, he has to. He has to know that. He'll have probably known that for this morning, when he's been at training. Look, I stand by what I said about you can't really trust a word that comes out of his mouth. You take it with a pinch of salt. When it comes to the transfers, we've seen it kind of all last summer. We've seen it all January, and then up until this point, we've seen it in this window. But no, he would have absolutely have known that Matt O'Reilly was as good as away when he sat down in that press conference.
Your ma comes in again and says, spot on, James. Brendan Rodgers making excuses because he knows he isn't going to get what he needs. He talks nonsense in circles. 3 strikers 1 week now. It's fine with Maeda. Here's one here, Stephen, before I just jump into the Brendan Rodgers press chat. Joseph Agnew, evening, says, hail, hail. Oh, should have been kept, and then that was one problem would have been sorted. What's your thoughts on that?
Can I just dive in there, just on the back of your Moz comment there? We're kind of talking in circles. I think it was 3 weeks ago or 2 weeks ago that he came out and said Kyogo wasn't for sale. He's too important to us and he wasn't for sale. And then if you watch that press conference today, he absolutely never said that. He spoke about the interest for Man City and how they're a massive club and he can understand the appeal and blah, 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 blah. But at no point did he stand by what he said 3 weeks ago that Kyogo wasn't for sale. So that's why, as I say, I don't think we're at the woods with the Kyogo thing yet at all.
Jeez, that's a fucking thought I don't want to cross my mind. Stephen, Brendan Rodgers press conference. What did you think his demeanour? Did he cut a frustrated figure to you, or did you? I struggled with it because I thought there was points where I thought he seemed quite relaxed about everything. When he opened it up with I was going to have a 5-a-side this week. I were not, look, these guys aren't going anywhere and all the rest of it. I was like, quite relaxed, and then certain questions got imposed on me. I could see him get frustrated. What was your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I mean, before going on that, the old comment from Joseph Agnew, I believe. Yeah, I mean, look, I thought there was a player in him, and I thought when Celtic sold though, Ida was coming in the next day. Didn't happen. So it just shows that he was sold off a whim just to claw money in for the club. So I don't understand the processes and procedures going on at the moment. But his demeanour is much like me tonight. I came in here with the intention of being calm, disappointed, and kind of holding my own. But as more as this goes on, I'm getting more angry and more filled up with rage, and I feel like I want to throw things out a window and smash something. But yeah,
go and smash that alarm if you've got to smash it in.
That's the only thing keeping me calm, Willie. It's bringing me back down again. But the whole thing with Rodgers, and fuck, me and James have agreed a lot. It's weird.
I know,
but I think we're on an even keel when we share our rage about the Celtic board, so it's grand. But I think with Rodgers talks shite. Plain and simple. He just talks a lot of fucking. Oh my god! I don't understand how he can signpost when he wants signings in. Like as I said, before the season starts, pre-season tour, before the first game of the season, everything's a week on or a week after. I hope we're active. I hope it's turned from want to hope. It's turned from. If we want to improve, we don't want to stand still too. I hope we improve. I hope we don't stand still. All this wishy-washy fucking bullshit. And let's be fair here, right? We know what Rodgers is like. It's not like we haven't seen it before. We're having the famous Danny McGrain story that was absolute shite. I was there, by the way, in the waterfront when he done that kind of book tour with Eamon Holmes, and he said that story. He got a massive cheer. And to find out years later it was absolute shite. It just shows you what type of character he is. I think he has a wee dose of the compulsive liar syndrome. I still love him, but he has a wee bit. He has flaws. We all have flaws, to be fair.
Do you not think, just to push back on that, mate, do you not think that a bit like yourself tonight. Your opening was like that. You are like you're just drained, absolutely drained with it all. Do you not think that he's in the same boat? That he's been coming out every press conference saying, "This is what I want. This is what," and he's not getting it. And he's at the stage now where he's just like, "Fucking hell, I'm just absolutely drained with it all." Every question that's getting asked, I'm like, "Well, you know what? I want this player. I'm saying the same to you every week. It's not happening. I'm in the same fucking boat as you. I'm just as fucking annoyed." But he can't say it in that sort of and as many words. So he has to say, like, "I'm annoyed, but we are working."
Yeah, no, I think he has to be diplomatic, doesn't he? He can't come out and talk how we're talking or probably speak how he feels. But then you could also kind of say back to that, Willie, is why is he here? If this is the same story as he faced last time, why is he here? He's been sold a pup, and
Well,
he's got nothing. But
let's
just before we move into the nuances to finish off
no, not at all.
the demeanor side of things, I think he was visibly frustrated. I think that joke about the five-a-side thing was more to calm him inside internally. I think he wanted himself to laugh a wee bit, but you could see, as you said, certain questions definitely spiked him. It raised his levels of rage, and you could almost look. Don't get me wrong. I know he's probably fighting in that boardroom every day. Every single day, he's probably getting in there being like, "Why is this not happening? What is going on?" But yeah, Willie, crack on. Let's if you want to get into the new.
No, let's let's jump right into that comment there, because that's the one thing that I took away was that comment about the sort of, let me see where I've got it here. He was like asked about his frustrations, but like about the balance, like balancing his ambitions, but his frustrations on missing out on players that he wants to get in through the door. And he did that. Well, I've been here before. And he didn't just go, "I've been here before." There was a pause and a wry smile and a silence. Everybody just went silent. And then he was like, "But I'm a better person now and I can deal with it better." What did you make of that? Because it seemed to me like he's like, "I feel like I'm fucking in 2016 or 2017, 2018, whenever it was again. And I've been promised all this and I'm in the fucking same spot I'm in than I was before." Albeit after it, he was like, "Look, I want to be here. I love this club and I want to do all the rest of that, blah, 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 blah. I'm different now. I'm not going to go anywhere," pretty much is what I took for it. But what did you take for the, like, I thought it was astounding when I actually seen it. I was actually quite shocked. I was like, wow, did he just say that?
Yeah, yeah. It was a bit shocked. It was shocking that I felt as well when he said that, because I thought he wouldn't have ever referenced his first time again after how it ended and things like that. But for him to bring it up, and also for him to back that statement up by saying, "I love the club, I want to be here," kind of points to me that the relationship is still shaky. It's on shaky ground. Do you know what I mean? If you have to reinforce a point by the board by saying you want to be here, that to me isn't a good sign. But that was the moment that I actually seen the frustration. Like you said, he had to compose himself, I think, after he said it was here the first time. And then
I
when
think
he said
paused,
it,
see when it went silent, I think he went, "Ah, shit." And he said that, he went, "Why the fuck did I just say that?"
and I think as well when he said that he knows how to handle his emotions better, I think again that was just to move away from that. But it is astounding that he said that. And this is what I'm saying. This is what I don't understand. Like, how can people trust the board to back him for the last 7 days? And like you said, Willie, like about you taking confidence from the fact that he said nothing was going to happen in the coming days or whatever for O'Reilly and Kyogo. 4 hours later, O'Reilly's away. So it's like, what's going on? Like, all we're asking is for open and transparency to see what's going on with our club. And like James said earlier on in the podcast, he didn't even name a scout. So it's like, who's doing it? Who's doing these things?
I don't even know if he went on about the scouting team that they have in place at the moment. They're working fucking tirelessly and all that. But he also counteracts that by saying, like, the recruitment team needs to be, obviously we need to look at that in the future. So that was a strange one. We'll come back to that. I just want to, there's been a there was a couple of comments here I really wanted to just bring up. If you bear with me a quick second. Where is it? Yeah, Tony Daly's in again. Tony Daly should be on the show hosting because he's far better insight than me. Another great comment. He says everything Rodgers says is very deliberate. There's a reason for it all. Even him saying he isn't sending messages is sending a message. Thought that was a really good comment. I think I totally agree with that. Monty says, I've been here before. That's a warning. But James, I want to come to you on that because again, that's a big focal point of the thing for me. The whole press conference for me was when he made that comment. I've been here before, and it's not so much the comment. It's that bit in between, that silence and everybody. It was as if the whole room went.
Aye. I actually agree with Tony. I think he knows what he's saying. He's calculated. I don't think it'll have been an off the cuff comment. And I think look, as I say, I have absolutely no doubt in my mind that Brendan Rodgers is frustrated as the rest is. Has he been sailed down the river when he joined? Probably. I think we all were as well, because as I fucking say it to him blue in the face, if we weren't willing to spend the cash last summer, why were we ever going to be willing to spend it this summer? I think he's come in. He openly spoke at his press conference when he got unveiled about progress in Europe. I think he mentioned reaching finally a European competition as well. It was all part of the goals. So he's obviously had assurances, and I know we're kind of covering all ground, but you go back to last summer and it was Fabian Rieder, the other guy for Switzerland, Jashiri, or whatever his name is. There was these signings that we all get excited about, and it obviously just never ever happened. And then fast forward to this summer, and I don't even think we've had the rumours, to be honest, at least not yet anyway. But I have everything that Brendan Rodgers said is, I think it was Punch said as well, it's all calculated. He's no daft. That's him letting us know that he's frustrated, but obviously he can't come out and speak the way we're speaking. It feels as if we're in fucking standard grade English here, doesn't it? He's got a red jumper on to represent that he's angry. But that is when he's come out and said that. What I took for it, as soon as you say that, you're automatically getting fucking pictures of John McGinn flashing across your eyes. But also, as Plunge said, he's been here before. It didn't go his way before, and we know how it ended before. So
that's why he backed it up with that comment about how he wants to be here and all the rest of it. Do you think that is him saying to the board?
No.
I think
he just thought, shit, I shouldn't have said that, and then he's kind of back.
That's what happened. In my opinion, that's what happened.
I don't think so. I think it's a warning in the sense of, I've been here before, which means if you don't back me, I've showed in the past that I will walk away, essentially. And then he's qualified that we're saying, but I love the club and all that stuff, which is basically, you still can fix this. There is still time to fix this. I want to be here. We've still got time left. Let's get down to business now. That's what I kind of took for it. But also, though, as I say, like, you can look at it, as I say, kind of fucking standard grade English in it. For me, it is deliberate, but there also is. I also thought that just given the context of the week and certain players that we've been linked with, I thought of the Marian Shved thing as well. Mind when he signed and then he got asked and he's like, basically, who the fuck's that?
That was the beginning and the end.
Yep, that was.
That kind of put that back in my head, and look, maybe I'm way off the mark here, but I think he's been fairly upfront in the fact about progress in Europe and wanting real quality, wanting to improve the team as opposed to improving the squad. Yeah, which is
he said that. He said that himself, didn't he? In that press conference, he pretty much said, I don't want to, I can't remember the term he used. I've got it written down somewhere. I don't want to stiffen up the squad. We need another level of player, was the term he used.
So look, some of the players that we're linked with, look, we need a left back anyway. Owen Beck comes in, for me, he's a squad player. Luke McCowan comes in, for me, he's a squad player. So if we go and we sign
you mentioned Luke McCowan here, and Stephen just went.
If we go to this week and we sign the couple of players, along with a couple others, like you've mentioned, Diawara, they are not walking into our first team. There's not a chance they come into our first team. Even guys like Nardo.
Can I come back at you, James? Because I can't let it go in my brain, okay? But not the Luke McKeown thing. He's
Pee
fucking...
when you're doing that.
Aye.
I know. Well, we're getting on so well tonight, Stephen. I off it.
No, it's not. It's just what you said about him sending messages to the board, and he's methodical on how he thinks and everything hits a target. But he's done this throughout this summer transfer window. He even name checked Chris Mackay and Michael Nicholson as the guy who's the people who deal with negotiations and the transfer. So if nothing has moved when he's done that, then I think it's a bit thing to say that he's taking more shots at the board, but nothing's going to change. I don't think. If it didn't change in the middle of the summer, then why do people think that because he's fired a few shots again, that it's going to change in the last 7 days? I just don't understand why.
I don't think it's going to change. I don't get me wrong. As much as I'm sitting here moaning, I do think we'll get business done this week. I think we have to get business done this week, but I don't think it's going to be the amount and of the quality that we're looking for. But when he's saying that, obviously he's behind the scenes. He knows what's going on and what isn't going on. And at the end of the day, when he's looking at it, whilst that one day is still open, there is still the chance for us to do what he wants to do. I don't think we'll do it, and I don't think he believes it will do it either, because, as you say, history will dictate that. But if he said the same thing next week when the window's shut, then that's when the alarm bells will start ringing. But as I say, some of the names that's been linked, they don't do it for me. And the emphasis, and again, it's something I'm hesitant to say after the back of the run up to January, or the chat about quality, and then bringing in fucking Kuhn, who might be doing well now, but he certainly wasn't the quality that we needed in January. Totally lost my point that I was going to say there.
Oh, you've done a Ross.
Do you know what I think's quite telling as well? And to be fair, it's quite stark, because he is brave to say it, but at the same time, there's no real substance to back it up as to why he said it, because we haven't seen results. But he said multiple times in each press conference, Sky today, and whatever media he was doing after that, judges at the end of the window. That's when you can judge us, type thing. That's a brave statement to say, because I tell you what, there's no substance for that statement, as if like to say, hold on, I'm Batman, there's 6 players. That's not happening. Do you know what I mean? So he's very brave. Maybe that's a calculated move. Maybe that is. I'll give him that. But that's a brave statement to say. 7 days left, we're going to lose O'Reilly, and then you could judge us at the end of the window. Whew. You know, I think that will cause a lot of shit.
See, I get that, to be fair. And look, as much as I'm saying he talks shite and blah, blah, and blah, and I literally just said a few minutes ago there that when he was asked to put a number on it, he didn't. And as much as I would like him to, I understand the reason that he takes the approach that he does, because at the end of the day, he is still the manager and we are playing games. So if he comes out and says, we need a left back, we need a centre half, we need this, that, and the next thing. If you're Greg Taylor, if you're Liam Scales, or whoever like that, right, hold on a minute. Do you know what I mean? It can go one or two ways.
Yep.
I
don't think they're stupid. They're going to know they're looking at them. I mean, he was asked directly about a centre half, and he was like, well, we've been looking at that from the start. So is that you saying Scales' nose is going to be put out of joint? Because like it shouldn't be happening like that. You mentioned mindset about Engels, about thinking to get back himself to come in and compete with midfield. If I'm a player with the elite mentality, and I'm Taylor and I'm sitting in the house and I see Rodgers saying, we're after 5 players, maybe a left back to challenge Greg Taylor, I'd be thinking, fuck, I need to up my game. I need to do better. I need to make sure I'm the number one. I would not for a million years sit and be like, oh, I'll down tools here because the gaffer wants a new player in. It shouldn't work like that.
See, for me with the Taylor one, I think it's easy enough one, and it's I think all he needs to say is, look, Greg Taylor's got a year left in his deal. We need to look at other options, because right now we're a year out for him not being here. That one puts pressure on the player agent, whatever's going on in this contract situation. I just think there's other ways round about it without saying like, well, he's pissed, so we hate to get somebody to replace him.
Right. No, I understand that, and look, I don't actually particularly disagree with you, but like similar to what you said about Hatate, if we knock back a bid for the Premier League for Hatate, you're saying his nose would go out of joint. So,
But,
I,
but
I,
that's totally different. That's a transfer going out. That's not a transfer coming in.
but could you not look at it the same way though, in the same kind of like
No.
context? Like if he's sitting and he's saying, look, we want to progress in Europe, we want to be better than we were in the Champions League, we want to get into the last 16. To do that, I think we need a left back. I think we need a left centre half. I think we need X, Y, and Z. Could that not be construed as? And look, it's no wrong, but at the end of the day, he's a football team manager. If he comes out and says, we need to progress in Champions League, we want to get better in Europe. To do that, we need X position, Y position, Z position. Take them in. Nobody squad players. The squad's fine, but they need to come into the first team. Do you not think that could potentially put a player's nose out of joint?
But James, he's done it. But James, he done it last week. He said he wanted he said he wanted a midfielder in, right? Regardless if O'Reilly left. So that would seem to me as he said publicly he doesn't want a squad filler, so he's looking for a quality midfielder to come in. Look, I get what you're saying, but at the end of the day, he has publicly stated about a centre half and a centre midfielder, possibly two now. He even said that as well. So you're effectively saying, now correct me if I'm wrong, but you're effectively saying that the risk is that he said that could put Rio Tate's nose out of joint, or Thiago Holmes' nose out of joint, or whoever it may be. That's why it's not computing with me, because he's publicly stated on record that he wants an additional midfielder. I didn't see a drop off in performance against Hibs last week, so that tells me the squad are happy with that. So while I get what you're saying, what I'm saying is I just don't agree with that. That's how I'm looking at that.
No, I get what you're saying as well, but when he's saying he wants to bring in a midfielder, of course, potentially it could put certain people's nose out of joint, but when you're singling out, if you're essentially singling out a player, and look, even if he mentions centre half, I think it's fairly safe to assume that absolutely everybody that knows anything about Celtic knows he's not talking about Carter Vickers. We all know.
Of course not. Yeah.
Aye. So when it comes to things like that and singling out individuals, I can absolutely get it. And look, it goes back as well. When he's saying he wants a new midfielder, and it's something that, for me, it can go one or two ways. I think at that point, look, the wheels have been in motion for O'Reilly leaving for donkeys. We knew O'Reilly was leaving, so there's going to be a gap to fill in the squad there regardless, because Holmes not good enough, Watt not good enough to come in their squad players, which is fine. So there's that aspect to it, and then there's also the aspect to we don't Watt potentially, but we don't have a kind of out and out holding midfielder. So it could be a different type of midfielder. So if he's saying he's signing another midfielder, it could potentially be tactics. Do you know what I mean? Like, it could be a variation of playing this new midfielder as a holding midfielder.
But you could say that
but how could
you could say that about any decision. So if he mentions
centre back,
well, left back, we all know, as you said, different variations in play. Like a left back who could take it down the wing and cross the ball in better than Greg Taylor can. A left back who could potentially do that inverted role better. Everything's a tactical decision. Everything's a decision to look where this player could fit in. If you're talking about a left centre half who can play the ball without taking 4 or 5 touches, like Scales does, get out of his feet into the midfield. So every transfer is a tactical decision. It's a decision on the player if he's coming in to improve the team. And I do want to reiterate, I do get your point, and I'm not being a dick, but I just don't think that it flies, because you're mentioning singling out players. I'm smiling when I'm talking. You're mentioning singling out players, right? That you said, rightfully so. If he's talking about a centre back, he's not talking about Carter Vickers. So Scales knows he's under pressure, but Scales has been the same level as he was last season, and it hasn't affected him. These professional players, I think your man said it as well in the comments. We're not a charity. We're not here to make people feel better. We're here to evolve the squad. We're here to make decisions based on what we could do better in the team. And everything, like what I'm basically, everything's a tactical choice. Everything's a tactical decision. If you sign a left back, you're thinking that left back can do a better job than the current left back we have.
Yeah, but see that,
it's all tactical.
See that comment about it's no charity and all that as well. The manager's not like that at all. He's already singled out.
I agree.
He's singled out today that Lager Bielka has been fantastic since he's been in, but he's not good enough. He's singled out. Who else is he? There's a number of players. There's Rocky. Well, he can't get fit, so he actually says these things out in the press conference. So I think that's a bit unfair to say that it's. I think he will call it as he sees it.
I'm more come back at James. It wasn't Rodgers, but yeah.
No,
but look, my point is, I think we actually in some ways agree, but he at the end of the day, he is the manager. Look, we earn a charity 100%, but see if in the back of his mind he doesn't think he's going to get the business that he wants done, and I think we've all pretty much agreed that we're only going to do that.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, he's still going to be in charge of that squad. So see if he comes out and publicly states, I don't think X, Y, and Z is good enough for the Champions League, and then their nose gets put at a joint and they think, nah, fuck you, I'm not interested. Right, it might happen, it might not happen. It's totally the wrong attitude to have. I get it. But there is potential that it happens. And then we don't have, for instance, let's say he says that about Greg Taylor, and then we don't sign a left back. We've literally no go anybody to fill that gap, if you know what I mean. So I understand what you're saying, and to be honest, I actually agree with you. But I don't think he can come out and put it as plainly as we put it. I don't think he can come out and put it as plainly as we put it. We say Greg Taylor's a weak link, Graham Scales is a weak link, we need upgrades in that. The manager of a football club cannot come out and say that. We can say Greg Taylor isn't good enough for the Champions League. We can say Liam Scales isn't good.
That's not what you said. That's not what you said.
But it's the same.
You just said you said positions. You said positions. Now you're changing it to individual players, which makes it a totally different argument.
No,
a totally different argument.
Positions. If he comes out and says we need a midfielder,
but if you're saying I need a new left back and you've only one left back, you're picking the fucking player.
that was my point earlier.
That's what I'm saying. Stephen saying that it's a different argument, but it's no if you've only got one left back.
If he says left back, he's not talking about fucking Rio Hitati, is he? He played there once last season. But if he says midfielder, it could be a Wata, it could be Home, it could be anybody.
He said centre back, so who's he talking about then?
But that's my point. He said centre back. He didn't say Liam
so
Scales.
He's not actually naming him. Everybody knows who he's talking about.
I'm in the twilight zone here because this is exactly the point I'm making. I am saying I agree with James on the fact if he came out in the press conference like, here, what about Taylor? He's a bit shit, isn't he? I need a new left back. Like that's a total different fucking change of tune and direction. What I was talking about, and I think it's been a wee bit lost in translation. Obviously, don't want to take up too much. And I agree with James, right? I do agree in essence of what he's saying. But what I'm coming across, and I think he gets it as well, the attitude shouldn't be like that from a professional footballer. If someone's coming in to challenge me, I'm like, I want to be better. It's the same in my working life. If someone challenges me, if someone challenges me in my working life, I want to be better than that person. So
you just kneecap them.
Or you do, you do that if you want. Do you know what I mean? But we haven't gone away, But yeah, look again, James.
I actually think we agree. I just think your poor intellect, mate, went against you.
What? He's drinking fucking forest fruits and he's giving me grief. The man's a nut.
Just let's come back to you. See, there's a wee fire being lit. I thought it was an interesting one as well, and in the press conference today, where the question was posed to Brendan Rodgers that is there a point in the window where it gets too late and it doesn't matter what the bid is for one of your players, it's too late to replace them, so it needs to be rejected? And he was like, yes, absolutely. And my first thought, and you know me, I always try to see the positive things, but my first thought was, well, we've got fucking fuck all in the window so far, and you're expecting us to get 2 or 3 in this last week. So does that not work the other way also? What was your thoughts on that comment?
That's fucking
I'm not gonna lie, but you fucking nailed it. Like, see that kind of reaction you give there? You nailed it. I didn't think that at the time, but you absolutely nailed it. He thinks that we can get these players tied up within 7 days. And the funny thing as well, he couldn't wait to answer that question before the journalist finished. He was like, yes. Yeah. he said it like 3 or 4 times before he actually got a chance to speak. But exactly, Willie, you've nailed that. Like, he expects us, or he wants us, or he hopes, or he wishes that we do this in the last 7 days. So he can't have his cake and eat it, as they say. So he needs to go out there and prove that this job can be done. And it's a lot of, there's a lot. You can see it in the comments. Everyone can. There's a lot of frustration. There's a lot of
Yeah, there is.
there's a lot of people
On
call me
that
a dick.
subject, I'm
So-
trying to get I'm trying to get as many comments up and read as much out, but there's absolutely hundreds tonight.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it, guys. Everybody's
I
kind
think
of
as well.
about what's happening at the moment.
I
It's
think
a bit
as well.
different to
We
last
have
week. Saw Rosie's last
Aye.
week. Now that's fucking petrol bombs.
we have 108 watching live, which is fantastic. So we do appreciate that. And anyone who wants to like, subscribe, and share it, please do. We never really said, but if you want to like and subscribe, that would be fantastic. But yeah, Willie, it's just it's mad situation. Tomorrow I want to be waking up that Tierney's coming home. Well, he's injured, Graham, so that's never happening. So it's not. I mean, that guy's on a table somewhere getting his hips done.
What do you think of that? Are you fear that? I know that comment Graham Bell's put in. I'll read it out just in case there's people listening rather than watching in the podcast, watching it back. Graham Bell, thanks for commenting, mate, and joining us this Friday night. Says tomorrow I want to waking up that Tierney is coming home and we've definitely got quality coming in. My fear is Brendan will walk. What do you think about that? Do you think that comment today that I've been here before could come to fruition and then he ends up?
Well, I mean, again, I've been showing stuff in whispers because he's a Carnlough man. He doesn't live, actually, his family don't live too far away from me. Things doing the rounds on WhatsApp that it could be a potential thing that could happen. People close to Brendan are saying he's apparently frustrated and he's angry at the goings on. But again, that's WhatsApp rumours, and you can't really say that with complete substance because we know half the time they're shit or most of the time. But it's a worry. And at the end of the day, as James said earlier as well, I think he's trying to tell us that he is extremely frustrated with what's going on. And as I said again, why is he here if this is what he's getting dealt again? Is my question. And if he walked, then I think we would all know why this time. We would all know what's happened.
Yeah. James, what do you think about the comment about the coming for our players late in the window, and is there a cut-off point for us? And also after that, just give us your take on what do you think about these sort of. Do you think Brendan could end up walking if he doesn't get his way in the next couple of windows at least?
With regards to the comment, the enough time in the window, I must admit I thought the same as yourself. And we're still needing bodies in here, so that doesn't sound too promising. But then at the same time, see if somebody wins a window shot, is at midnight or 11 o'clock or whatever. See if we get a bid in at 9 o'clock, a fucking 30 million for Kyogo or something. Dorwood, they hit his arse on the way out. And I don't doubt that for a second.
Because he's good movement, but
that's true. Yeah, that's true. But I honestly, I don't doubt that. And it's how I didn't buy into the we don't need to sell. And it's like, we know we don't need to sell because we've all seen the balance sheet, but it doesn't mean that we're not going to sell. We won't sell and we don't need to, are two different things. Every single player in that squad, for fucking number 1 to number 90, will have their price. And if that price is met, they'll boot the door.
See, just to push back on that as well, though, James. See, like Ross, I think Ross put it in this morning. Pretty sure it was Ross. As much as I agree with you, there is a price for every player. Sometimes there's a point you need to sell because, for example, O'Reilly comes up and goes, "Look, if Brighton are interested, I want to go." And then, you know, so it's no so. I think it's a bit unfair to just say, "Oh, if the price is met, that's it. He's gone." There's also like the player side of it as well.
I get that, but you still don't need to accept it. I get you're keeping an unhappy player, but I mean, we've spent the last X amount of weeks telling us how professional Matt O'Reilly's been and he's no through the toys out the pram and all that. Look, I don't begrudge anybody their move. I've accepted where we are in the kind of footballing world now. Like it or lump it, we are a selling club. It's been fairly evident for a few years. We're, as Rodgers put it today, we're not the final destination. We just help these players on their journey. So I'm absolutely fine with that. I'm no casting up about that at all. But I just think, regardless of what time in the window, if a player's value is met, that it will be accepted. I think that I know it wasn't as late in the window, but the Kieran Tierney thing as well always springs to mind. Apparently, he didn't want to go. His valuation was met, and the bid was accepted. So that is the model, and I have no problem with that being the model. But it's just all this trying to be brash that we're flush with cash and we don't need to sell. And it's like, well, we do need to fucking buy. So is there any chance that we can go on with that side of it? But in terms of leaving if he doesn't get what he wants, I think the obvious answer is aye, because history dictates that can happen. But then again, the flip side of that is I don't think off the back of the Leicester job, his stock in England probably hasn't ever been as low as it is currently. Obviously, winning a double up here, you know what the English think of the standard up here. So, does he get a Premier League job if he leaves Celtic? I'm not sure, and if he does, it's probably closer to the boatmen, as I say, after the back of how the Leicester job ended. So obviously, I hope he doesn't leave. I hope it doesn't come to that. I hope we're sitting here next week going, what a lot of shite we were talking last week, but I think history dictates that it is absolutely an option if he doesn't get what he's needing.
Aye.
I think as well,
Willie, we're getting 5 players in next week just so that when the one day comes round, I can say, well, I fucking wasn't the greatest best man out of the crowd.
Willie, I think as well, if Rodgers is saying judges, I want your opinion on this as well. If Rodgers is saying judges at the end of the window, if we commit this status quo, right, we sign a few players but hasn't actually addressed the issues, what's he going to say then?
Yeah,
is he going to open up? Is he going to open up and tell his feelings? Because if he's telling the supporters to do it, if he feels like he comes out of this window weaker than we were last season, is he going to open up? Is that what he's trying to hint at?
I think he would just do the same as pretty much what he's been doing all window. I think he'll say, we wanted to get quality, we couldn't get it in. Whether that's... Because sometimes he'll say stuff like, sometimes they're just not available and the timing's not right, or it's hard to get them at that time in the window, and you know what I mean? He'll just come up with stuff like that. But I think he will. I think he will come out and say, like, we didn't get the quality, obviously. But he can't. He can't do the opposite, because all he's done this window every single week is talk about how we need to get. And today he said that easily 10, 20 times we need, if we're going to compete in the Champions League, we need to get better quality. And he kept saying it. So he couldn't say anything other than we failed in the window because we didn't get the required quality in. He can't.
I think you could probably take a fairly good stab at a first draft Rodgers interview for the 1st of September. If we were to date the news, you say that it would be all the stuff about he's happy with the business that we've done. He reckons the players are good, they'll improve us, blah blah blah, and then it will be a wee kind of comment about we need to do business quicker, or like Ange said, we need to be a wee bit braver. There will be some kind of shade thrown at the board, but I don't think even then, obviously if he's still in the building, if he doesn't get what he wants, which I think he will be, I don't think even then he'll come out and throw anybody under the bus. I don't think he can, to be honest, but I think there'll definitely be wee barbs thrown, as we've seen all throughout the window, even though he tells us there hasn't been.
Aye, absolutely. It'll be interesting to see. Everybody's turned fuming. Everybody's pretty much went like Stephen, like pretty calm at the start of and then everybody's like, fuck everybody. Graham
This is what it's about.
Saying the lack of ambition from the board is not good enough. Be prepared to go into the Champions League with a weaker squad than last year. Get the finger out, Lowell. Alistair's been in. It's good to see you on, Alistair. Even Alistair, who is pretty positive normally, is raging, saying that the window's too rotten to fix. Takes me on to the next topic. I can't believe we're nearly 2 hours in and we've only talked about 2 things. But Rodgers banged on the whole press conference about how he doesn't want to be just like doing it domestically. He wants to, progress, and what he needs players for that. All blah 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 blah. Champions League. Now, the window's no shut until a week today, but the Champions League draw is a week yesterday. The Champions League draw is coming Thursday. It's coming thick and fast. I I thought this was going to be a fairly positive segment about how we're going to be looking in the Champions League, but now Matt O'Reilly is gone. We might as well just fuck out of the window. But the draw's on Thursday. We've got a new look Champions League to look forward to. We have there's seedings. There's 4 pots, I believe, but the seedings don't really matter because you're playing 2 teams from each pot, so you're still playing teams for your pot. So it doesn't really matter where you're seeded. You're going to be playing 2 for each pot anyway. So it's a bit of a strange one. But for those that don't know how it's going to look, I'm going to try and explain it to you. And I think the best way to explain it is by using screenshots from my Football Manager save. So here we go. So this is how the new look Champions League is going to be. It's 36 teams in the league. We all play 8 games. Like I said, it's 2 from each pot of the seeds. The top 8 will automatically go through. They'll just go through to the next round. But then positions 9 to 24 go into like a 2-legged home and away knockout playoff round, which would look something like this. So that's positions 9 to 24. So 16 teams go in. They play a home and away knockout round. The 8 teams that progress from that then go on to play, and they all get drawn and they play the top 8 teams in the league phase. And then from there, it's a straight home and away knockout round from there. Hopefully that makes sense to everybody. So it's 8 games, 2 more games, a bit more money in the pot, which we obviously need because we're obviously a bit skint at that moment. How do you feel about the new sort of new look, James? Obviously, it's going to be a bit more money, a couple of extra games. Do you think that with that, there's more of a chance of us reaching knockout with the fact that even like to 20 to maybe not so much this year because we'll maybe go back to this next week when the window's shut and we've got another 20 million pound players in. But it seems to me like there's a bit more of a chance of getting through with that whole, like the top 24, you've still got a chance of going through to knockouts. But what do you feel about the new sort of system?
I think it's just essentially the Super League with Champions League branding, the way we're talking. I think in theory you should probably have maybe a chance because you're playing 2 teams deemed to be just as good as you and also 2 teams to be deemed worse off than you. So it gives you kind of 12 points that you would fancy, you would imagine. And obviously the 2 for the pots 1 and 2 as well. But I don't know, mate, to be honest, because I watched the video. They put a video explaining how it was going to work, and I think I don't know how the draw itself is going to work because, as far as I'm led to believe, each individual team is going to need a draw done for them. Because if we draw Real Madrid for pot 1, Real Madrid will still need to play 2 other teams in that same pot, if you know what I mean. So I think every single team's going to need the rain draw.
It's going to be about 6 hours long, this draw, isn't it, next Thursday?
They must be reducing it because I think it's about fucking 12 hours long as it stands on now, man. The wee Thunderbirds looking guy talking through. But nah, I must admit, rightly or wrongly, I'm looking forward to it. And then we'll come on here next Friday, moan like fuck about the transfer window, and then as sure as anything, we'll be asked to fork up £200 for the Champions League package, and we'll all be queuing up with dafties to do it. So I must admit, it's hard not to, and you want to see your test yourself against the best, but as it stands just now, I think we'll be getting our arse felt freaking 8 times or 70 or however fucking many games you play 8 times. But I don't even know who else is in like pot 4 who we can potentially draw. I've really not looked into it. But I think on paper, at least, it should be quote unquote easier to get through to the playoff round, the last 16.
I thought so, Stephen. What's your thoughts on the whole new format? And I think if this Matt O'Reilly news didn't come today, would be a bit more positive. But I think we'll get at least quarterfinals.
Oh fuck! I don't know what you're smoking. Jesus.
I don't know if you clocked there, but Wally's FM save had us beating fucking Atletico Madrid 6-0 in the first leg.
But it is just the Super League dressed up as the Champions League. They've done it with the Conference League and the Europa League, and it's all league phase now. Look, it is exciting, obviously, to be the only representative from Scotland and sample it for the first time. I am excited to see how it works out, and I think Stephen Ray put in the comments we can play, for example, 2 English clubs if they're separate pots, which brings a different dynamic to it. So, yeah, it is exciting to be involved in. Obviously, more money from the additional 2 games. We're actually in Europe after Christmas, which is a bonus, I suppose. But
what do you think? Because I think this Matt O'Reilly news has really properly brought the mood down with everybody, and not just talking about the podcast tonight, like the whole fan base. Remember, we're playing really good football so far this season. I know we need to. Like, I'm not trying to downplay the fact that this window has been an absolute shocker so far. I need to improve, but as much as a squad, Matt O'Reilly's gone, so it's obviously weaker. It's similar squad to last year in terms of the personnel, but the football we're playing and the kind of moulding into Brendan's style is night and day compared to what we've seen the first 6-8 months of last season. So there needs to be a bit of positivity going into it.
Yeah.
Hopefully, obviously, by the end of the window, we'll have much more positivity. But there needs. I feel like we are in a better place as a footballing team rather than the personnel. Obviously, we're going to be far weaker because our best players just left us tonight. But
yeah, look, you can again. I can only really think of the downsides. I mean, we were playing brilliant football under Postecoglou, but we still failed in the Champions League. We were playing brilliant football then, and you'd probably say we're matching it at the minute. I think, positivity, like as Rodgers said, I think the team are a year on under his style, that they're understanding it more, where he wants players on the pitch. I mean, talking about Kyogo, for example, him dropping deep, linking the play, attacking the depth. I love that saying. I'm a wee nerd for stuff like that. I like all the tactical side of things. Talking about controlling the ball in the midfield, how the counter press is your main playmaker and things of that nature. So the squad have definitely kicked on, but again, you said backed up with a negative. We're going to be much weaker without Matt O'Reilly, and that's the reality we're in. We can dress it up and say we're playing brilliant football in the SPFL. We do that basically 9 times out of 10 anyway. So yeah, it gives you positive signs going into these group phases or group league phases, but again, we usually get pumped. I mean, we usually get pumped by, and I can again. I don't want to be that negative and all this, but we go into these European ties full of optimism, and we go in full of kind of expectation and hope, and we can dream all these sayings. We finish with 1 point, 3 points, or 4 points. It's just not good enough. And I can hear the buzzwords. We were competitive in the first 45 minutes, and it's fantastic. We hit the post, and I'm pretty sure the goalkeeper waved at a fan, and it's all crap. At the end of the day, the only thing that matters is points on the board. And like Rodgers, I think, is starting to get this. He's starting to understand. Do you know what I mean? He said about it today again. He just doesn't want to be competitive in Europe. He just doesn't want to. He just doesn't want to take part. He wants to get results. And while I loved the 35 minutes against Real Madrid where we looked like we got hammered them 5 or 6-0, at the end of the day we got spanked. While I loved the other games we were competitive in and hit the post maybe once or twice, at the end of the day we got beat. So yes, it's great us playing this attractive football against these European heavyweights, as you could call them, but it doesn't give us any results. And we come out of these, and as James said, the fans will be asked to pay £200 for this whole package. And for what? They've given us fuck all to be excited about signing wise. They're taking the money. We're sitting on a pile of cash. And I agree, we've been a better football unit as a whole, as a collective. But we're an injury away from Ralston playing at right back. We're an injury away from Welsh partnering Scales. We're an injury away from Taylor. No one underneath him. Matthew Anderson, whoever it may be. Montgomery coming back from injury. We're one injury away from a back four of Ralston, Welsh, Scales, and Matthew Anderson, for example, in the Champions League. It's not good enough. It's not what us fans deserve. The fans who go year in, year out, pumping the money into the club, paying season books, families who are fucking struggling to put meals on the table, to feed their kids, to work for minimum wage, still fined £500, £600 to pump into that club year in, year out. And what do they get in return? We hope we can be stronger at the end of the window. It's not good enough. It just isn't. I'm not even optimistic. I think we'll go into this. We'll talk about the draw, and we'll be like, oh, we could get a couple of points here and there. We'll get points. I've no doubt about it. But will we get the points that are good enough to fucking to qualify for that playoff phase? I just don't know at the moment. And I need to see what's going to happen in this next coming week. But it's as you can tell, just a wee bit fucked off. So there you go.
Well, everybody in the chat, we've got over 100 in. Thanks very much for joining us. Join us Thursday. We're live. We're going to see the Champions League draw, and we're all fucking buzzing for it. What are you thinking? Because that should be this Champions League draw. It's the one thing we all gather on the TV, and we're all buzzing to see who we draw. But it seems like Stevens can't give a flying fuck who we draw because he's got us out already. James, how are you feeling about the draw coming up on Thursday? Are you excited? We could sign 3 players on Monday, and then do you think everybody will hear a buzz on again? How are you feeling about the whole situation?
I think that was kind of what I was trying to say about the Rodgers thing earlier when he made the kind of comment. There is still time for us to fix this, but it's just that there's absolutely nobody that's confident that we're going to fix it. So if we go out and we, fair enough. No, but if we go out and we sign 3 or 4 players of genuine quality and we put some cash down for them, then there absolutely will be a bit of a buzz. If we hold on to Kyogo as well and nobody else goes, then absolutely there will be a feel-good factor and we'll go into the draw looking forward to it. But if we get into the draw as we stand just now, as I said earlier, we're going to get our arse felt 8 games. We know that this squad isn't good enough. And Rodgers at his press conference today, and again, this is the whole talking shite thing. He said at the press conference today, he wants to get into the Champions League and be competitive. He doesn't want to get in and just participate, which is brilliant because I have said for so long that when we come out after a game and we say that, it's the equivalent of a participation trophy. You can be as competitive.
Come on, James. Fucking yes. Love it.
You can participate as in Rodgers' context, as he put it, as much as you want, but we still get fucked out with 2 games to go. So his quote today was, he wants to be competitive. Now, I'm fairly convinced we spoke about it and we got annoyed. Well, I at least get annoyed about it. After every game in Europe last season, he came out and said we were competitive. If that was us being competitive, as Stephen says, at that level, you can't come out and go, well, we get 3 shies in their third and we got a corner, so we done really well there. That doesn't wash. We need to go out and put points on the board. If we're out with 2 games to go, you've been anything but competitive. As I said before, and I know you might disagree, Willie, but it is the absolute definition of a participation trophy in football. It is well done, you tried. Now, that might be the level that we're at, fair enough, with the squad, but we know that this squad, and look, Kuhn never played in Europe last year, Adam Eden never played in Europe last year, I get that, but I still think, even with them, you're probably looking at Kyogo starting anyway, but even with them in the building, I still think we're miles short of that level. So, for us to be competitive, as he wants us to be, we are going to need to go out and splash the cash and put some money down last year. I don't want to come out next year saying, oh, that's ending off. Oh, fuck, we took that goal kick. That was a year prior with Joe Hart, but we fucked up that goal kick in Leipzig and they scored for that. Palma was offside at the back post, even though he scored another goal, which was brilliant in the Champions League, but he was offside at the back post against Lazio. We were so unlucky. The fucking Kyogo had so many chances and we missed it. Bollocks, it doesn't matter. If you're not putting points on the board, you're as good as getting scudded for nothing. And it's the thing about, and it, maybe this is genuinely just me because I'm not saying for a second that we should have won the game, but it's the fondness that people look back on the Real Madrid game with. It really fucking irritates me because we speak about that game as if we went out and we bet Real Madrid 5-0. We were excellent for the first 45 minutes. Callum McGregor smacked the post. That's brilliant, but unfortunately, a game last 90 minutes and we get scudded 3-0 and we took no points for it. So we can play as well as we want to play, but if we're not getting points on the board, then again, we're polishing a third.
If your ma had Bhoys, should be your dad and all that.
Exactly.
See that statement. I would love for somebody, because I keep hearing Brendan Rodgers say, "I want to be competitive in Europe." Right? What constitutes as being competitive in Europe? Do you settle it on like getting to the knockouts? Is that competitive? Is it like I always find that statement really funny, and I say it myself. And when I actually step back and think about it, I'm like, because this is quite a subjective thing. Because competitive to somebody could be, finishing second in the old format. It could be getting to the quarterfinals to somebody else. James, what's competitive in Europe for us?
For a start, it's not been out of every competition with 2 games to go. When it gets to the business end, look, I am not for a second saying that we waltz into the Champions League and we qualify for the last 16 because we've spent 30 million on 3 players and on name value alone. We get through to the last 16. That's not at all what I'm saying. But as I say, it's hard for me to even mention any teams because I've not even looked at the pots, so I don't know who's in pot 4 and who's in pot 3. But I'm not saying that we draw fucking Real Madrid and Man City and we go and scud them. Of course, we know our place. We know that we're obviously going to be massively punching above our weight against these teams. But it's teams of a similar level, and it's not even exclusive to the Champions League, if we're being honest. It's the Europa League as well. You look at the teams that's done us in the Europa League knockout stages, your Copenhagen's, Zenit. It's teams on our level, Valencia, Bodo Glimt. It's teams on our level that we just don't let.
Stephen's fucking fuming.
we don't progress by.
I just see him getting shit like this. Fucking Bodo Glimt. Fucking Bodo Glimt.
But no, for me this year, being competitive would be being in and around qualifying. Like the last game, if we're not already in that kind of layout, it's hard to say obviously with the way the league's going to go, but basically having a chance for the duration of the tournament. No been fucked out of everything. I know you can't drop down this year, but no been out of everything with 2 games to go. And then obviously we beat Feyenoord and it was celebrated, and rightly so it was celebrated because it was that was the kind of monkey off the back. But in the grand scale of things, it didn't really mean a lot. It meant nothing in terms of qualification, but I am fed up in the hard luck story, and I know that's just a Scottish football thing. But I'm just fed up in the hard luck story. I mean, even thinking back beyond the Champions League, I was saying like the Copenhagen game. Like, I don't know if you remember, but we were absolutely dreadful at Parkhead that night. We'd done no bad away from him, and we got to the draw, and we were absolutely dreadful at Parkhead. And Edouard scores a penalty in like the 85th minute, and it's going to go to extra time. You're like, right, regroup, go again, and we fucking pretty much concede for kick-off. And it's things like that. There's always a hard luck story. There's always like an excuse to be gave. There's always a chance that's been missed, and I'm just fed up with that happening. So let's go. Let's be fucking going to get that tattooed in my head. Let's be the best version of Celtic that we can be getting into it. And then
you need a big head, you'll hate to shave your head.
Just take it for there, man. We need to borrow some of Stevens. He's got fucking plenty of food.
You can get that on mine.
Are you fucking winding up, you wee dick? You just said, you fucking wee dickhead. What the fuck?
But no, just being in it, basically being in it for the duration. It's no saying that we've got a divine right to get to the last 16. Of course it isn't. But just being in it for the duration. No having de-drubber games with fucking 2 games to go as it was last year. Yeah.
What about you, Stephen? What constitutes being competitive in the Champions League?
Oh, fuck.
Again, I feel like it's just been like fucking therapy for Stephen tonight.
It has been. I've been so angry this week. It's been incredible. But
no, you started this podcast 2 years ago with saying, I'm actually no angry, I'm just disappointed.
I'm just drained by it all.
I am.
Drained by it all.
Every
fucking year.
what Willie does, and he does it really well. He spikes me, and he just fucking gets me angry. So there you go.
See, no,
But
see, it's different. See, when you're in a host chair, because
yeah,
I'll say things as like what's the word I'm looking for? Somebody
impartial.
Impartial. Like, there's things I'll say that I've spotted that I would be like, is that an angle? And I don't necessarily agree with it, but there's things that I think that are good for debate. Whereas if I'm not hosting, then I'm like, just giving pelters and that. What are you fucking talking about? Stop talking track piss. But in the host here, you have to sort of be impartial. So I try to throw up things.
I think for me, being competitive in Europe is a multitude of things. It's winning games, points on the board. It's not having Celtic Park a tourist attraction and taking accolades like the atmosphere was amazing as 3 points. I hate that.
First story in the
chat. I utterly, and look, this might just be me. I despise when we clap opposition players off the pitch. I don't care if you're Messi or you're a bog standard player. You do not get clapped off the pitch in a competitive game. Bogosh, yeah, or Burgoosh, whatever his name is. I think over the years, our identity in Europe has just been an absolute laughingstock, and clubs just see us as an easy win, an easy 3 points. It makes me laugh all the time when we're in the build-up to a European home game. And for example, it's on Sky or you hear it on TalkSport or the Sports Sound, and they go to a pundit and they say, what do you think about this? What do you think about this tie coming up? They're like, oh, Celtic Park and European nights, it's incredible. Night. The atmosphere it's going to be so hard for the opposition team, and we get spanked 4 or 5-0. It doesn't compute no more. And it can't be the level of player. And I'll tell you for why, right? You look back at Gordon Strachan's teams, you look back at Neil Lennon's teams, facing the likes of Milan with Kaká, facing the likes of Barcelona with Messi. Sometimes it comes down to pure tactics and pure know-how and being streetwise and not being naive to think that you can play this open attacking game against these European teams. And that could be a Copenhagen, that could be a Barcelona, or in between. It doesn't matter. You need to be smarter. You need to be smarter in how you play. And that comes down to Rodgers. That comes down to Rodgers as well. But I think he understands that. And I think he referenced it as well. We can't play the same way in European football as we do domestically. So, again, that could be a good thing in the right direction. But it just really angers me how we say we're a world-class club and a world-class club in everything we do. But in European football, we're the world-class laughingstock. We get beat 9 times out of 10. And we have had good performances, beating Lazio home and away, and Leipzig, I think it wasn't 2016 or 2017, I was at the game. There has been nights, but it's been very few and far between. And it's a disgrace. We shouldn't accept it like, oh, we can't compete. That breeds a mindset, that breeds an expectation where it's saying we're not good enough for that level. We need to be, we again, stealing it from James here, the best version of ourselves. And look, you can laugh if you want.
No, I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing at the comment.
But again,
all I'm going to say is I did nip away for about 30 seconds earlier, so I could have done it twice.
Again, the whole European thing of being competitive, and Rodgers said it, he wants to get the European final. Whether fucking that ever happens, fuck knows. But he's ambitious enough to say stuff like that. He can see the potential of Celtic and the potential of what we can do. And it made me laugh at the O'Reilly argument as well. People saying he's got 8 games in the Champions League, but if 5 out of the 8 games we get spanked 3 or 4-0, doesn't look good. It won't look good in him either. So again, it's a good carrot. It's a good thing. It's a good thing to have as a club. But if we're not getting results, at the end of the day, we're getting popped out of the European competitions usually before Christmas. So it is a participation medal. That's exactly like James alluded to. We're getting pats in the back for getting the shot on target against Madrid. We're getting pats in the back for playing well in 30 minutes of a game, but when it's 90 minutes. So while there's good positives to take from situations like that, I do agree. But over the course, we are a shambles in Europe, and I'll say it till I'm fucking blue in the face. That shambles across the road or across the river got the European final. They beat the likes of Dortmund. Good teams, by the way. What the fuck do? We haven't won a European knockout tie since 2004. It's complete madness. They've managed to die, try and come back as themselves again, but really we know they're not. They're dead, and get the European final. It's like, and we're sitting there getting pats in the back for a couple of shots against whoever it may be. It's not good enough. And what constitutes success, Willie, in Europe? First of all, winning or at least drawing our home games and getting points and making Celtic Park like it used to be under O'Neill, under Strachan, and partly under Lenny. So that, and then you can evolve from there and look to get out of whatever league phase you're in.
Can I just piggyback half a back of that? Because I think you're spot on, but I think what that ties in with what Rodgers said at his press conference today. I meant to mention it earlier, sorry, when he said about the objective has to be Europe. We already know we're domestically dominating domestically, easy for me to say. So the
sounds like my debut album.
the target has to be Europe, and I think that's stuff that we've all sat on here and said at some point. And I think even was it last week we sat and we said that with the mess across the water in the state that they're in, would that have any impact on us? And if we come out this window the way we are, then I think that's the biggest indication, if it wasn't already fairly evident, that it absolutely does have a bearing. And the fact that the manager is actually mental, that the manager of Celtic is having to come out and say, we've won how many trophies fucking in the last, since 2000, even going back to the turn of the millennium. And he's having to come out and say, we already know we're dominant domestically, but we need to try and kick on in Europe. And that is literally what we've been saying for so long, and it just doesn't happen. So, we're in for one of the best weeks of Celtic supporting lives, I think, here, man.
It's crazy how this is flipped.
This is like fucking Moonfest Mondays. What the fuck is happening, guys? Stephen, I see that alarm. Is that like hooked up to your blood pressure? Because when you were going off your nut earlier, it felt like it was going off every 3 seconds, and now it's just going off every steady like 35 seconds or something like that. I think
I've actually got. I've got it attached to my body. It's just over there.
It's like one of the diabetes things that shoots straight to your phone. You're just fucking shit. Oh, he's gone off. He's not about Celtic again. Beep, 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 beep.
I just thought it was a smoke alarm and it was the fucking steam coming out your ears that was causing it to get off.
There's lots of comments in the chats about the sort of deadline day and if we're going to be live. I think there has been talk about it. I would have, if I was available. I'm absolutely devastated because I think it's going to be a tasty, exciting deadline day. The guys will tell you on Monday. We'll talk about it over the weekend. I'm pretty sure that maybe a couple will be able to jump on for the last couple of hours. So maybe even push back the podcast and do the last couple of hours of deadline day and see how it is on the day. I don't know. Well, I will talk about the Champions League draw too because we've done that live a couple of times and it's went down really well. But I don't think it'll go down as well this year after the negativity, right? So we'll maybe leave that. Anyway, back to the football. St Mirren Sunday.
Oh, shit.
Got to win 5-0. Aye, same team. Name Mattarelli. Cheers. See you later, guys. Enjoy your weekend. No, Stephen. Back to the football. Back to the positivity. We've been playing well this season. What are you expecting on Sunday? Much the same, minus Mattarelli. What's your thoughts?
I mean, you had to balance that up again with a negative point, didn't you? But Paisley, it's always a tough place to go, and I think I've said this numerous times. I think Stephen Robinson's teams are very athletic, they're very physical, robust.
Manager in his press conference today was fully praised for Stephen Robinson and his time at Motherwell and what he's done, and rightly so. I reckon you're right. I think it probably will be I think it's probably our toughest match so far this season.
And again, they were lucky, and they were in Europe there as well, and they got beat, I think, but put out. But yeah, look, I think with Steve Robinson, I watched his interview with Open Goal, and he was talking about him and Dermot O'Carroll doing the recruitment themselves, basically doing everything because the club can't afford scouts recruitment and things of that nature. So he's very heavily involved in all aspects of the club, and like you said,
Like your scouts. We need fucking
like you said, at Motherwell he done well. I think he went to Morecambe, didn't really work out. He's come back up and he's got St Mirren into the European places. So he's done a good job. And it's Aliunga up top. He's very pacey. They've got a couple of physical forwards. Their midfield's quite good. Is that who O'Hara plays for? Isn't it?
Yeah,
their
Mark
captain.
O'Hara.
Mark O'Hara. He's a good player.
He's
I've always liked Alex Gogic. I don't know why, but he just always looks good playing for them.
Because it reminds me.
Well, and could be.
Like hardy, baldy
but no, look again. I've always thought. I've always thought their pitch has been in good order. They've had always a good playing surface as well. Nice wee stadium. What am I expecting? More of the same. Like you said, we've been really, really dominant so far in domestic levels. I think we're playing really well as a team. I love the fact last week we didn't give Hibs time to breathe on the ball, and that eventually paid off when Nicholas Coon followed in a back pass and their keeper hit it off him and went in the back of the net. But still, that comes from the counter press and getting that ball as quick as you can. But yeah, no, I'm looking forward to the game. I think it's on TV. Obviously, it's away from home, so go down and watch that with my granddad and my brother probably as well, and my two kids. So yeah, that should be a good game. I'll give you my score lineup prediction once you finish up with a wee dickhead below. So
yeah. Well, wee dickhead, what are you saying about it? Well, yeah, I think well, aye, give us your thoughts on the game, but also what you like. I think the lineup pretty much speaks for itself, barring two positions now. Obviously, Matt O'Reilly would have started. It looks like if he's gone, he won't be starting. Who's going to come in for him? And the other conundrums, obviously, Kyogo's apparently back fit. I say fit. The managers came out and said he needs surgery, but it's up to him whether he does it or not. So we've got the choice up front now as well. So, yeah, what's your thoughts on the game and what's your thoughts on the lineup?
As Stephen said, it is a hard place to go. But to be fair, they have been pretty poor this season so far. So they'll be due a victory to kickstart it. I'll just keep fucking in tow with the theme of the night. But no, like we have been playing well. You wouldn't know it to listen to us, but we have been playing well. So hopefully even Bill O'Reilly no being there, we can continue that on, and hopefully we score early and it's comfortable, because it's the kind of tricky away games that obviously you can drop points in if you're not with it. So fingers crossed. I think it will be interesting to see who takes O'Reilly's place. I don't think there is a kind of standout candidate, unless I'm forgetting somebody glaringly obvious like Bernardo, which I clearly am. So I think Bernardo will come in for O'Reilly. I'm just thinking, I'm like, home Iwata, who am I missing?
Has Iwata been on the bench?
Yeah.
Is he? So it's either Iwata comes in and Calmac goes into the 8, or Calmac stays in the 6 and he's going to go Bernardo, isn't he?
I think it would be Bernardo.
Might actually sell Bernardo here, but we don't know what's happening, so it might not be Bernardo.
Well, I think we've given 8 other Paolo Bernardos anyway. If you read Twitter, I think he signed for his fucking 9 times. So, but no, I think it'll be Schmeichel, Johnson, Scales, Carter Vickers, Taylor, O'Reilly, Bernardo, Hatate, Kuhn. I think he'll go Ida and Maida on the wing.
And we'll pump them,
I'll go 4-0 St Mirren. I'll go 3-1.
Stephen, what's your thoughts?
I'll go Casper, Johnson, Carter Vickers, Scales, Taylor, Calmac, Bernardo. It's so weird not saying O'Reilly. I was about to say it there. Calmac, Bernardo, Rio Hatate, Kyogo for the middle, Kuhn on the right, and Maeda on the left. I think it will be 4-1 Celtic.
4-1. hopefully we get some good news on the pitch, because it seems like there's a bit of a and see, coming into the podcast tonight as well, I thought it was going to be a real good vibe, but obviously that news has proper knocked everybody for six. But how have you enjoyed your
No quiz.
No, I've not. I didn't got time to do one, so sorry guys. If I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it right, and I didn't have time to do it right. So how have you enjoyed your therapy session tonight, Stephen?
As I said, I'm not angry. I'm just disappointed. I thoroughly enjoyed the chat. Good crack. As I said, we're going to have a lot of twists and turns. So I enjoyed it. Let's see what's going to happen. Hopefully, a good win to talk about on Monday with the Monday Moon Fest. So
The Monday Moon
we'll,
Fest.
we'll see how that goes.
Well, we fucking challenged them tonight. I couldn't even get myself up for it at all. But Stephen, James, thanks very much for joining. The chat's been absolutely off the scale tonight. Everybody's been proper involved. Over 100 people pretty much all night. So we really, really appreciate it. Subscribe, like, share, tell your family, friends, all the rest of it, all that nonsense. Apologies, there's not a quiz. I'll guarantee I'll hear one next time. Appreciate you all. Hope you have a good weekend. I'm going to go into my bed now and flick through my photo album, Matt O'Reilly, with "Hello, Darkness, my old friend." I hope you all have a good weekend. Hail, hail. All the best. Cheers, Strips.